food for thought, if you will, when we're tracking severe storms. So a lot of times it's heavy rain and hail first. So that's what we're looking at. Barberville, DeWitt, again, and kind of you can see right here, if you go north a little bit, I'll squat down as much as I can right there, Becca, but, or I should say south, thank you. That's a little bit of a bounded echo region. We'll kind of get right down there north of Trosper and DeWitt, and we'll kind of take the map northward a little bit, and again, zoom on in. There's a look at that storm that has a little bit of an inflow notch coming right here to the east of Barberville as this storm continues to track off to the east. So that's the tornado warning, again, for Knox County, Kentucky until 1:15. Seek shelter in an interior room and a safe, sturdy building and your home. And we'll keep you updated on this. Becca, I'll send it back over to you. Got more storms firing up in East Tennessee as these storms starting to develop pretty much right on track. And Becca's been telling you folks all throughout the morning of the timeline and the potential severity, as there is that certainly enhanced to moderate risk for severe weather. Becca, I'll send it back to you.
Let's quickly talk about that, Todd, because we are still watching the level 2, 3, and 4 across the area. The last time we had a level 4 risk was way back in 1990, and you notice the area where we do have that tornado warning in effect is the area that is moving into a very favorable region for this some broad rotation that we do have in place. Now, when we were talking about that tornado warning, folks, this was a tornado warning that was radar estimated. So this is something that we have no confirmation that it is on the ground. We do have, again, a radar estimated tornado that is going to be, as Todd was mentioning, near the Barberville area to the east of I-75, moving into areas off to the east, moving quickly, right around 50 miles an hour. We do have some frequent lightning that is in place along with this storm. It does look like when we figure the rotation, we are still seeing some tightening of this. In fact, it does look a little bit tighter than what some of our most recent velocity scans have been. So it does look like the tightest rotation that we have is going to be just to the southwest of the DeWitt area. And so if you do live in this area, now is the time, as we had mentioned in the first half hour, to take shelter, to make sure you're in your safe place, to get to the lowest level of your house, away from doors, away from windows. And this storm is moving very quickly off to the east-northeast. In fact, let me try and chime this out for you and get some of those locations. We do have this area of rotation that is moving off to the east-northeast right around 50 miles per hour. And as we continue to time this out for you, if your city is on this map, you will want to make sure that you are getting into your safe place. So that includes the Sailor area, Wallens Creek, moving into Harlan, Kentucky within the next 20 to 25 minutes, is this storm does have the potential of holding together, bringing in the opportunity for some rotation. And like with any strong storm that we have this time of year, we see it pulsate. We see it just kind of breathe in and out. And so if you notice in that last velocity scan, it looked like it had a little bit of a tighter pressure gradient. So it looked like it was just a little bit tighter on rotation. Now it's just kind of started to broaden out a little bit. That's where you get those reds right next to the blues. That's what gives you an idea of some of that rotation. You'll still notice that we do have some of those brighter greens next to that red. So you can pick up on the area that we are seeing some of that rotation. And it does look like the area of rotation that we have in place as of right now is going to be right around the DeWitt area, right near Highway 25E. So if you are living in this location, if you live in Harlan, Kentucky, if you live in Moselle, you may want to right now get into your safe place as these storms are continuing to move very quickly. And as Todd was also pointing out, this storm has a very classic, almost hook-like nature. Oh, and we do have some picture of some hail. Again, this is going to be across the area. Oh, great, great. This is a great example. This was shared to us by Linda Tipton from the Jamestown community. Love that she is using a coin as a measurement tool. You can see that we did have penny-size hail. That was going to be in Jamestown. That's going to be off in Fentress County and heading into Scott County. That's where we initially had some of these thunderstorms start to develop. Now we're seeing, again, this storm in particular that we are focusing on is going to be in southeast Kentucky, where we are also picking up on the potential for seeing up to quarter-size hail. Todd, you've been tracking some of these storms as well. Again, we're seeing another severe thunderstorm warning that is going to be in effect. We're still holding on to that one in the northern half of Anderson County, Campbell County, and moving up into the northern half of East Tennessee. So we do have multiple severe thunderstorm warnings in place as we go into the afternoon. Where do you want to take it from now, Todd? Do you want to start off with the tornado warning, or do you want to go into the severe thunderstorm warnings?
Becca, thank you so much. We've got it on our Max 2 system. We'll kind of go back and forth. Wanted to start with this. Becca, thank you for that updated info. That was a great hail picture with a coin for reference, penny-sized hail, but larger hail than that is indicated. I want to show a couple of things, as Becca's been talking about, and this radar loop is over the last, I believe it's an hour. This is just the last hour. So notice this storm. Notice the red blob, okay, in purple colors. If you track that, that's an intense core of strong updraft winds. That means we have a significant core with possible large hail, and we got some inbound and outbound winds. It's just, we can tell by looking at this radar loop that we have a mature updraft and supercell type storm that's producing a possible tornado and large hail. That's one storm. If you look down here in East Tennessee, we have some other notable storms kind of congealing into a line, and that's what's expected. And once we go over the next 1 to 2 hours, that a line's going to continue to form with potential damage winds as it makes its way across the rest of East Tennessee. But right now, we have other strong to possible severe storms developing, one near Rockwood, also in around Crossville. Checking out National Weather Service office in Nashville was talking about storms just on the other side of Cumberland County that have considerable wind damage possible. That means winds could be in excess of 70 miles per hour. We have severe thunderstorm warning, severe thunderstorms, 60-mile-per-hour winds or greater, and quarter-size hail. When a considerable tag is put to it, that means winds could be 70 miles per hour or higher. So we have ongoing severe thunderstorm warnings, 60 to possibly 70 mile per hour damage winds. This could create power outages due to downed trees. That's the threat right now we're looking at from Anderson County right across far northern Knox, but particularly Anderson, Campbell into Union, also Granger heading near Morristown, Hamlin County, and across Claiborne County as well, and Campbell County. So that's the severe thunderstorm warnings in East Tennessee. We are watching some of these other broken cells with strong cores and mature updrafts developing against some strong cores in these systems that could become severe in rotation. Well, the reason we're seeing possible rotation is a strong upper level trough that's moving in. That's kind of unusual for the month of August. Normally you don't see those until usually spring and fall. So unusual for late summer, but it's actually due to some cooler air aloft, unseasonably cool and strong winds aloft. So the main concern right now is for eastern Knox County. We can go ahead and hop back to Max 1 if you want to, Kelsey. Thank you. Take your time. That's totally fine. We're looking at this tornado warning, again, that's coming out of parts of Knox County, Kentucky. It's going to be moving into northern Bell County into Harlan County, Kentucky. Again, we'll switch to Max 1 here in a minute. And that's what we're looking at for that tornado warning until 1:15 right there. That's for Bell, Harlan, and Knox counties, Kentucky. Again, we have a Knox County, Kentucky, and Barberville. So that's what we're looking at. Again, the rotation, as Becca was pointing out a moment ago, was tightening up just a little bit more briefly. And thank you, Tavian, for zooming on in right there. Again, Becca Sweet, Tavian Whitehurst, Kaylee Bowers also helping to track these storms on social media. We're going to do our best to keep you updated throughout the day. I think we have some, go ahead, Liam, we have some more video we can take of Jacksboro, William Young. Thank you, William. Some torrential rainfall coming in. We had a picture of penny-sized hail from Jacksboro a moment ago as well. And so that's these storms that are starting to develop across the northern parts of East Tennessee up into Kentucky, and it's especially across the northern half of our region where some of the strongest winds, and this is where we're seeing some more of the severe thunderstorm action with potentially damaged winds, heavy rain, and possible large hail. So looking real close again, we had penny-sized hail confirmed by that picture earlier, but that's some of the latest video from William Young in Jacksboro. Okay, back to Max 1, our system behind us. Again, this is the storm, the tornado warning, the storm, that prompted a tornado warning. It's got at least some broad rotation. It's crossing over from portions of Knox County, Kentucky into Bell County, Kentucky to the north and east of Pineville. And this will be working its way from northern Bell County, Kentucky into Harlan County. So again, there are some rural areas also in place here across northern Bell County. But again, if you are a viewer that are watching us in southeast Kentucky, we are watching this for you, and we want you to be safe as these storms track, again, from Knox County into northern Bell County, Kentucky. If we could go ahead and widen back out and take a look at the storms in East Tennessee as we're continuing to track other severe thunderstorm warnings, again, for portions of East Tennessee. So we're going to keep a close eye on this tornado warning, again, for Knox County, Kentucky, and Bell County. But look at the lightning, the energy. Maybe we'll loop that over the last hour or two. That is, and thank you, we got a lot going on. There's the storm just west of Crossville. I'm going to go ahead and say heads up, Cumberland County and Crossville. Unless the storm would happen to weaken, which is not expected, you need to go ahead and probably plan to be in your safe place. Crossville, Lantana, Lake Tansy. Right now, Crossville, Fairfield, Glade. Probably a good idea to go ahead and move into your safe place until these storms pass. Now, one quick note, these are fast-moving storms. This is not going to be an all-afternoon duration event. Many areas are going to see these storms. They're firing up quickly. They're going to be moving quickly. But right now, on the Cumberland Plateau into the northern counties of East Tennessee and Kentucky, they are strengthening and they are accelerating. So if you're watching us in Cumberland County, this severe thunderstorm to your west in parts of White County near Sparta and Grundy County as well is tracking east-northeast onto the plateau. Could have considerable damaging winds of 70 miles per hour. We got a special statement just popping up. See the core of that system? Zoom on into that one maybe south of Rockwood. And if you will, Tavian, thank you so much. The gray box, as you know, means it's a strong storm. If it's a yellow polygon issue, that's a severe thunderstorm warning. If it's red, that's a tornado warning. So it's always good to know. Again, these are the indicators that we have for the strength or the severity of a storm. This is a significant weather advisory for this strong storm. It's growing though. See the red and purple colors? See the core of that system? It's maturing, it's strengthening. And that's what we're looking at. It's individual too. It has its own wind field. It's not part of a strong line yet. And is that Nashville or Morristown on the velocity? Thank you, guys. We'll get that. Yeah, okay, thank you very much. Thank you, Becca. So here's a look at what we're seeing coming off the plateau. Again, that one particular storm right here, south of Rockwood, again, we're going to keep a close eye on that storm. There's the severe thunderstorm warning also for northern counties. So, yeah, Rockwood, Kingston, again, this storm is strengthening and continuing to come across the river there in southern Roane County. So, again, Rockwood, Kingston, strong storm. Not going to say it's going to definitely go severe, but it likely could. So we are looking at the potential. Right now, the winds are likely in excess of 50 miles per hour with growing, developing large hail. And if that could become severe, that means we're going to go 60 mile per hour winds or higher and quarter-size hail or larger. Right now, it's just under that in Roane County. Heads up Lenoir City, Loudon, Highway 70, Highway 321. Speaking of Highway 70, we know you just had an EF1 tornado, 95 mile per hour winds just last week. Still cleaning up from that. That was an interesting system with that much lightning and no warning. But meanwhile, again, that particular area, we got more storms heading in your direction. Again, in Roane County, Highway 70. So more severe storms tracking from Caryville to Washburn, Clinch Mountain, tornado warning. Check the time on that. I think that got extended. Guys, I may be wrong. Let's see. No, it's still 1:15. Still the same time. Okay, so still the same time frame on that. And we got about another 17 minutes for that warning. Still showing a little bit of rotation and couplet. And we say rotation, where you see the green and red colors side by side, that means winds coming in opposite directions. That's a couplet. Inbound winds are coming from in green, outbound winds in red. And when you have that couplet side by side, that means we have cyclonic circulation. It's with respect to where the radar is located. And in this respect, it is the Jackson, Kentucky radar. So that's the couplet we have right here. Northeast of Pineville, north of TJ, northern sections of Bell County, Kentucky will be passing near and just north of Highway 119. And downstream, again, this is likely going to be passing near Harlan, Kentucky. Again, we have some rural areas certainly, but in case you're watching us in Bell County or Harlan County, Kentucky, possible tornado. It has damaging winds, whether it's a tornado or not, so you need to take cover. This is a severe storm. There's a look. See that little absence of rain? By the way, that's usually where you have a tornado. It's a void or an absence of rainfall. It's wrapping the rain around it. In this case, see what's happening? It's wrapping the rain around here. That's where the possible tornado is, right there. And that's where our velocity scan was showing. So again, you have the heavy rain and possible large hail ahead of it. And that's where we're probably looking at a hail core just north of that. But see, there's the couplet. And that's where you have an absence of the rainfall because the rain is wrapping around what we call mesocyclone or a wall cloud. That's, you have a lowering black or the dark cloud initially, then the funnel cloud drops out of that. So it's a process. Okay, it doesn't go from blue skies to tornado. It's a process. You have a lowering cloud base, then you have a funnel cloud and a possible tornado. It's not a tornado unless it makes contact with the ground. So that's what we're looking at in northern Bell County as it's tracking to the east. Again, that warning for about another 15 minutes from right now. Becca and Tavian, I'll send it back over to you. We'll talk about some more of the warnings in East Tennessee. Again, heads up in Crossville and Cumberland County as more storms head in your direction. Tavian?
Thank you very much, Chad. I figure I'd take a second to kind of move out to the greater view that we're seeing these storms from, because these are very, very wide-reaching from us here in East Tennessee, even reaching as far down into parts of Alabama and Georgia. And you can see here, we have that tornado warning that's going to be stretching all the way up into areas, all the way up to West Virginia, the Mid-Atlantic, going through Maryland, and even parts of Southern Virginia as well. Lightning-laden storms getting from Southern Ohio all the way down through parts of East Tennessee, and we're already seeing plenty of severe thunderstorm warnings. We're seeing the tornado warnings that we had in southwestern Kentucky, and again continuing to stretch further down as well. Just zooming in a little bit further as we get further down into parts of the city, or really the state of Tennessee, we now have about 1, 2, 3 severe thunderstorm warnings. The one tornado warning that's going until about 1:15, and we look further out in towards Middle Tennessee, we still have 2 severe thunderstorm warnings as well. Todd was talking about this earlier, but we've got finally this line that is beginning to form, including the stronger cell here as you get into southwestern Kentucky, all the way down from our northern counties in East Tennessee, already starting to form further in parts of Anderson, Morgan, Cumberland County, and then continuing further down to the plateau. And again, you can even tell here by this radar, this is just over the past hour, making it from Murfreesboro all the way down into McMinnville and even beyond it, further into parts like Sparta. So if you're in the Southern Valley areas like Dayton, you're getting into Bledsoe, Ray, Meigs, even parts of McMinn County, those storms are going to be coming your way fairly quickly, again, as this line continues to form and fully connect over these next couple of hours and really these next couple of minutes. So you look in a little bit closer, Oak Ridge, you guys may have a couple of these storms moving through as you get into parts of northern Anderson County. Wartburg, if you're not already seeing these storms, they're likely going to be coming your way, and we're already seeing some very powerful wind gusts with these storms as they continue to move as well. This extended severe thunderstorm warning that started out in parts of Scott County, now moving through Campbell County, including just parts of La Follette, continuing in towards Maynardville, and over farther into parts of upper East Tennessee. We still have those gusty winds that are coming along with this line. Again, we've got the winds that are moving away from us further down in parts of southwestern Virginia, southeastern Kentucky, and all the way down following along with that line of stronger storms. Some of those wind speeds we're already seeing getting upwards into the 50s, already at severe strength, 57 miles per hour as you get into Cumberland County, 56 miles per hour as we get into Morgan County. And I just heard we got another video from Jacksboro, so yeah, Leanne, definitely play that for a second. Always a great thing to see, just torrential downpours. Trees are moving through. You know you're getting those strong storms when that the wind is making that rain look like it's falling in waves. Thank you so much, Sandy, for sending in this video. Hopefully you are home safe, and anybody that's on the roads, it's definitely a good time to get somewhere safe. Any kind of building, if you're at work, stay there for a little bit. Hopefully your cars are going to be okay from any kind of hail damage that we may see. We are already seeing penny to nickel size hail, but that could continue to get larger as these storms continue to develop. We can take it over back to the radar real quick if y'all don't mind. Thank you again, Sandy, for that video. So again, with these winds, again, that is part of the reason that we are seeing that rain kind of whip at us in waves, along with the part that we're already seeing some very heavy rain. Now, I'm giving you a look at the vertical liquid because we can't quite see any hail signatures just yet, but with this heavy moisture that we're already seeing in parts of upper East Tennessee, you're getting into areas of Union County, getting closer towards Tazewell, we're seeing a lot of those greens and reds. That's going to signify that there is a lot of water that's being moved around in these storms, vertically, of course, and that is going to be what develops some of that hail. It's going to continue to rotate up and down until it's too heavy and it eventually falls down further down into the earth. Now, this isn't exactly the most important thing, but I figured I would talk about this rainfall really quick. We haven't seen any flood risk just yet, but in just these couple of hours, we're already seeing 2.5 inches as you get into parts of Scott County and pretty close as well as you get into parts of Campbell County. So that is just showing again that these heavy thunderstorms are going to continue to flow as we get over these next couple of minutes. We're looking at that radar again. We're seeing, again, this storm is still continuing to push further. The tornado warning going for about 10 more minutes, and it's just moving to the edge of that box, but it's still looking like a very well-formed storm. So I wouldn't be surprised if they do actually continue that tornado warning. I may actually go back for a little bit just to zoom in a little bit further to see what that storm is going to continue to look like. But we're watching, again, that greater line really start to grow amongst the rest of the area as you get down over to these next couple minutes. Thank you so much to whoever that was. But yeah, you zoom in a little bit further, we're still seeing kind of that perfect signature as you work your way just north of TJ in southwestern. This is still Kentucky, continuing to move its way over, very lightning laden. We have still got about 9 to 10 minutes in the system as it continues to move Bell, Clay, Harlan, and Knox County, Kentucky. Still looking at, looks like it's starting to wind a little bit. We've got these stronger winds that are moving just further north of TJ, and we're still seeing a little bit of this couplet that's moving past the DeWitt area, continuing to make its way towards the east. So if you're in South Wallens, if you're in the city of Harlan, moving towards Everett, I'd still keep an eye out because within these 10 minutes, they could very easily still continue to push that storm over. If we can switch back over to the radar, you can still see a lot of that heavy rain as well with that storm as we are continuing to watch it move its way over into the east. I'm going to stay on Max 2 for just a little bit, still showing again some of those stronger storms. Whatever has that severe thunderstorm warning showing, that would be really great if I could take a look at that. But we are continuing to watch a lot of that movement in these systems as they move over these next couple minutes. There we go. We got some more of that rainfall, vertical liquid that's continuing to move through. So again, still more of those gusty winds that will continue to stretch as we go from parts of southeastern Kentucky all the way down through some of our Northern Valley and Plateau counties, now connecting all the way through. Wait, that's the almanac. I can actually switch over to Todd. He looks like he's got a couple of that, little bit more of that information. Still looking at winds getting upwards of 70 miles per hour, some of that localized flash flooding. We're already seeing some more of those tornadoes, and we will continue to look at some of that growing hail as these storms continue to develop. But Todd, what are you seeing over on your side?
Yeah, thank you so much, Tavian. Here's what we're looking at right now. As you mentioned, the impacts, and again, the storms continuing to fire that tornado warning, continuing to cross Kentucky. The strong, severe thunderstorms, damage winds possible. The storms coming out of Anderson, Union into Granger County could have winds in excess of 70 miles per hour, damaging winds, possible power outages, and there could be a brief tornado within this line, a brief spin up. That's actually possible because we do have that wind energy. Speaking of which, we do have a tornado watch. Starting back with the big picture, a watch, as Becca's been talking about, means conditions are favorable in and close to the watch area for possible severe weather, including isolated tornadoes. This is in place until 7 p.m. So a watch means just that. Be watchful. Now, a warning means take action. That means a specific warning is in place, a specific severe storm, whether it be a severe thunderstorm warning or tornado warning, is in effect. You need to take cover. A watch just means it's possible. A broad area, go about your day, but be on the lookout and be ready to take action if a warning's issued. Those are the differences, as usual, between a watch and a warning. Watch is broad, warning is very specific. We have warnings in place. We have the tornado warning for Bell County, Kentucky, again, until 1:15. That will expire in approximately 8 minutes right now. We have this line of severe thunderstorms continuing to track off to the east. Okay, Becca, I'm going to send it over to you. Yes, we're watching a storm that continues near Kingston and east of Rockwood. Looking at some rotation. I'm going to toss it over to Becca at the wall, at the BAM, and I'll let you talk about the storm that's continuing to intensify. Becca?
So I was just looking over on our radar, and we're continuing to see the potential for some rotation within this storm. We do not have a severe thunderstorm warning on this storm in particular just yet, but if you are watching right now, that's going to be just to the south of Midtown, just to the southwest of Kingston. We are watching a very strong storm where there is the potential for some rotation within this storm. As Todd was mentioning, you get that rotation where you get the tightening gradient of these winds. And even if there is no tornado within this storm, we are looking at the potential for some very gusty winds. We'll continue to get more update as we do start to have some more notifications on our phone. We do have that severe thunderstorm warning that has now been issued for parts of Ray County, Meigs County. That's going to be just to the north of this storm, or just to the south of this storm. But we are continuing to watch these showers and thunderstorms continue to slide their way off to the east. So in particular, I do believe that they are issuing now a severe thunderstorm warning again that does include this broad area of thunderstorms. As we kind of take a look at this right now, we have that severe thunderstorm warning as we go a little bit further to our south. So it actually is just on the outskirts of this strong storm that we're watching in Kingston. So that severe thunderstorm warning does not include the specific cell that we were watching, but it does have the potential, again, for bringing in some of those strong storms into that particular area. So we do have this most recent severe thunderstorm warning that includes Hamilton, Meigs, Ray, and Sequatchie counties. We are going to continue to watch very gusty winds. You can see all of that lightning that we have off to our west. In fact, we've had many people say, okay, we've had these storms that have already slid their way through our areas to our north. Is this something that's going to be impacting us here in the Central Valley? And the answer is yes, folks. We are just getting things started. And these storms, just as quickly as they are going to be moving, there's really not going to be a whole lot of considerable time for these storms to weaken. They're moving off to the east, right around 40 to 50 miles per hour. And if we are starting to watch this, we initially took coverage around 12:30 when we had this tornado warning that was issued. We still have that tornado warning that is in effect for southeast Kentucky. So that is going to be into Kentucky. But the storms that we have across East Tennessee right now have the capability, have the possibilities to have the opportunity for some of these strong storms to make their way through the area. So as you could just see, Todd was talking about that tornado warning. We also have a severe thunderstorm warning that includes Granger County, Hamblin County, Jefferson County, and Union counties. For a lot of these areas, it's the first day of school for a lot of those kiddos. School has been let out of that area early, so if you are watching again, hopefully you're in your safe place with your kiddos at home. Tomorrow looks to be a much more pleasant day, but you can see this frequent lightning that we have in place. With these storms, there is the possibility for some embedded rotation. Certainly nothing that has been quite significant enough to have that tornado warning be issued, but very gusty winds. These storms have the history of producing up to 60 to 65, almost 70 miles per hour as possible. That's going to continue to slide its way off to the northeast. We'll get that in just a second. You can see here that we do have, again, lots of lightning pushing its way through the region. So if you are going to be outside again, or maybe if you have your kiddos at home, make sure you're in the innermost part of your house. I know it's cool. I know it's exciting to watch some of these thunderstorms, but you want to make sure safety first, so you're inside an enclosed area. We're also watching the severe thunderstorm warning that we have in Hamilton, Meigs, Ray, and Sequatchie counties. We're continuing to keep an eye out for some of those strong gusty winds, and even though we don't have a severe thunderstorm warning that does include the storm that we have just to the southwest of Kingston, I want to say that that storm has been continuing to surprise me in just its strength. It's small, but it is mighty, and so that storm is likely going to pack a little bit of a punch as well. Let's take a look at some of the school closings that we do have in place, and after that I will toss it over to you, Todd. But we are looking at schools again that closed already at 12:30. Right now it is 1:12. We are going to continue to see schools closing again at Monroe County, Sweetwater City, Greenville, and Loudoun County here at 1 o'clock. And then we also have school closing at 1:30. We have a full list over at WBIR.com. And Todd, it looks like we were just issued a new severe thunderstorm warning for Granger County, Knox County. I'm going to toss it over to you on that note.
Yes, a brand new severe thunderstorm warning just coming down. It does include, and again, these are our presets. We'll zoom on in. Northern Knox County, also for Granger and Anderson, Granger, Hamblin, Jefferson, Union counties until 1:45. So this is a brand new severe thunderstorm warning. I'll read the very latest from the National Weather Service office in Morristown. Becca and Tavian, thank you very much for your coverage of these storms today. This storm, this warning actually, we have a new warning. There's multiple warnings here. We have another one that's in place until 2 p.m. and I'll try to get that for you right here. Anderson, Granger, Knox, Union counties. Again, this is a storm just north of Knoxville, and at 1:10 p.m., that's 3 minutes ago, a severe thunderstorm was located 9 miles northeast of Clinton and moving east at 40 miles per hour. 60 mile per hour wind gusts and quarter-size hail are possible. This severe storm radar indicated, as far as the source, the main impact, hail damage to vehicles and wind damage to roofs, siding, and trees are possible. So this is the storm, again, that was located near Clinton and continue to track, will be tracking to the east-northeast. And let's see, let me get that speed again. It's east at 40 miles per hour. So I'm going to go ahead and put a track on that. We have other severe storms that are ongoing coming out of Campbell into much of Union County. By the way, watch out for flooding. Sharps Chapel, Maynardville, Washburn, Thornhill. Union and Granger County coming out of southern Campbell County. Anderson, heavy rainfall, potential strong storms. Andersonville, Norris, Big Ridge State Park, you're covered up in heavy rain, lightning, and potential hail. Let me show you the potential hail that we're looking at here as far as our vertical integrated liquid. Oh yeah. Yep. There we go, north of Clinton. That's why we have a storm. I mentioned Norris. Heads up Norris, get in your safe place. If your vehicle's under cover, it'd be a good thing, but don't go outside right now while it's occurring because you've got significant hail possible from Rocky Top to Norris. That is indicative of some pretty large hail that we're seeing right now. Let me show you our different hail product. It's catching up. It's not yet updating, but this is our vertical integrated liquid product. It also shows some possible hail around Maynardville. At least it looks like quarter-size hail. It could be ping pong ball or golf ball up to $half size hail developing across portions of Anderson County. So Rocky Top, Norris, Andersonville, Big Ridge area, again, Museum of Appalachia, again, anywhere near Norris. You need to certainly be in your safe place in the center part of a sturdy home or building, away from the outer walls, lowest floor, small interior room like a bathroom, hallway, or closet. It's got some damage and winds possible, okay? We could have some downed trees and power lines. That's why you want to be indoors in a safe, small room, center part of your home, lowest floor. And again, away from those outer walls and windows. We also have a lot of lightning that's showing up with these storms as they continue to track east at 40 miles per hour. We're tracking multiple storms, and Becca Sweet, Tavian Whitehurst with me. Kaylee Bowers also tracking storms. Becca was talking about the storm in Kingston, tracking from Roane County into portions of Loudoun County, as we're on your computer right now, Tavian, and looking right now at that storm that's tracking from Roane County into Lenoir City. These storms, by the way, they're going to be continuing to move out of Morgan County, Anderson County, Roane County, and we're going to focus in on Knox County as these storms are going to be converging on Knox County within the next 15 to 20 minutes, if not before. So if you're watching us from Farragut, Cedar Bluff, Knoxville, Powell, Carnes, Hardin Valley, be prepared to move into your safe place as these storms have the potential for damaging wind gusts. Again, hopefully not, but we could have damage and winds in excess of 60 to 70 miles per hour, power outages possible from downed trees, and there could be some large hail. And that could be have some damage to siding and roofs and vehicles. It's possible. Whenever you get quarter-size hail or larger, if you have a quarter, severe hail is quarter-size or larger. And these storms do have the potential for some significant large hail. There's a look at some of our times. We'll show you that right here. Again, we are looking at that potential hail and also damage and wind. So in Farragut, less than 15 minutes. That's what we're looking at right now. Powell, about 21 minutes from right now, and continuing around Oliver Springs here shortly. Becca, I'm going to switch with you, and we'll kind of go back and forth. And here, I'll go to the wall. We'll talk more about these storms that are continuing to impact our region as severe storms tracking across northern portions of East Tennessee, including from Anderson County into Union County, and again, tracking from northern Knox County. Again, so heads up, Corryton, Gibbs, right along the Knox-Anderson County line, and again we're on Max 2, and also in Morgan County and down into Roane County and Loudoun County, more of these stronger storms as, yes, Tavian doing a track here, heading toward Oliver Springs shortly. This is this storm up in Anderson County, another storm heading toward Lenoir City, and more storms in Wartburg, heading right down Highway 61, 62, Kellytown Road. Will be heading toward Coalfield and Petros here momentarily. Louisville in Blount County, again, we'll continue to keep an eye on. That's the storm moving into Loudoun County now. Let's go ahead and expand back out. Crossville, Cumberland County. Also, we'll do a reset for Kentucky. The good news, we are at 118 now. That tornado warning that continues to track out of Knox and Bell counties in Kentucky into Harlan County, that tornado warning has expired or has been allowed to expire. It is still a severe thunderstorm warning, though. Still could have damage and winds near and just north of Kaywood and Harlan, moving through Harlan County, Kentucky, right here. And there's South Wallens as well. So there's Kaywood, Everts, Pine Mountain, again, 421. And if you're watching us from Harlan County, Kentucky, take cover, damage winds possible. We mentioned those storms dropping some heavy rates of rainfall, so you do have a flood advisory that will continue throughout much of the afternoon for Knox County, Kentucky. And that flood advisory until 4:15 right there. So that takes care of storms in Kentucky. Again, the tornado warning has expired, but still possible severe storms in Harlan County. Now, here's what's going on. You can see what's happening in the atmosphere. One of our high-res models doing a real good job of showing the depiction. Here's what's going on. A couple hours ago, or about an hour and a half ago, we had individual cells, right? Those are ones you really have to watch out for. They have their own wind field, they can rotate, could give you a quick spin up. These are doing so now, and we're expected to congeal and form into a linear line that is more of an organized line of damage and winds. That's what we're seeing take place right now. So again, and we can put this in motion loop again, kind of take a look at that. But that's the line that we're seeing right there that's continued to track on off due east at about 40 to 50 miles per hour. Again, earlier broken cells, but now as expected, these storms continue to pack a punch. If you look real closely, McMinnville, Sparta, this is what we call kind of a convectively induced disturbance. So Vortmax to get real technical, but it looks like that may be something we have to watch. We have considerable damage and winds possible coming out of Grundy and Van Buren and White counties, and that's what's continued to move toward Crossville and Spring City. Let's track on up the plateau just a little bit. Here's Spring City, Rockwood right there. Thank you, guys. So Crossville, we don't have a warning yet. Well, you have had heavy rain and storms, but just be prepared and go ahead and be in your safe place anywhere on the Cumberland Plateau right now, from Cumberland and Bledsoe County. If you're watching this, Pikeville and again Crossville Highway 127, and also Ray County and Meigs County. So Spring City, Dayton, 10 Mile, Decatur, Big Springs, or anywhere in between, Watts Bar Reservoir area, Ray and Meigs, Southern Valley, in Roane County, and Cumberland and Bledsoe. Be prepared to be indoors in your safe place. Let's see, is this a new, is that the same severe thunderstorm warning? No, that's the one we were waiting on and just got issued, right? Okay, so Monday till 2 p.m., yeah, 40 minutes right now. Anderson, Knox, Loudoun, and Roane counties. I think that's just now coming down the pike. Severe thunderstorm warning. And Becca and Tavian, I'll let y'all chime in. Do we have any special tags on this one? It looks like there may be some rotation. Let's focus in on this storm.
I can take this one, Todd. So again, this most recent one we have is going to be in effect for, let's kind of zoom on into it, not tornado warning. This is going to be in effect for Anderson, Knox, Loudoun, and Roane counties. And as Todd was saying, the special tag that we have in place is indicating some of the hazards that we have with these storms. Now with this, the National Weather Service is saying we're watching the potential for 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts. And as we were focusing our attention on this storm in particular, there was some of that rotation at one point. So they are using that specific tag saying that a tornado is possible. We do not have a tornado warning on this storm, but we are continuing to watch the potential for some rotation within the storm just to the southeast of Kingston. Now, we've been watching this storm in particular as it's still, as Todd mentioned, one of those isolated storms that's fueling itself ahead of that main line. These could potentially be some of those stronger storms that we do watch. Yes, they're small, but boy, they are mighty. Let's talk a little bit more about some of that velocity that we have in place. Again, the velocity scans on here, just not doing a whole lot for us. Neither are we seeing a whole lot of hail with this system right now. There is the potential for seeing up to pea-size hail, but truth be told, when we were talking about these storms in particular throughout the morning, we had emphasized that the biggest threat was going to be the opportunity for some gusty winds. And we also have some power outages in Campbell County that we will talk about more coming up in just a little bit. So again, we do have that severe thunderstorm warning. This one was just issued for Anderson, Knox, Loudoun, and Roane counties. I do want to take you to kind of a bigger view as to what we're seeing across the area. Look at that. You can just see that line of severe thunderstorm warnings. This is what we had talked about on our weather team earlier this morning. It was just going to be one severe thunderstorm warning after another. If you've lived in East Tennessee long enough, you get this kind of line that moves through, and it is going to pack a punch, folks, as we continue to see this line of very strong storms. As of right now, just looking at severe thunderstorm warnings, but some of these storms, like the one that we're watching moving into Roane County, moving into Loudoun County, does have the potential for bringing in a little bit of some rotation. I do want to break down your Futurecast model and go through the rest of what we could potentially see for the rest of the afternoon. You notice between now to 3 o'clock, we're still going to be holding on to some of these very strong storms. They will carry on into northeast Tennessee. And at this point, once we kind of get pressed up against the Smokies, it looks like it slows down just a little bit. And that is why we do have a little bit of a greater opportunity, a greater threat for seeing some of those persistent storms across northeast Tennessee. But just as quickly as they have come into the area, look at that. By about 4, 5, 6 o'clock this afternoon, we start to see some quieting conditions. We're going to continue to see, again, some quieter weather as we go into the evening hours tonight. There is that chance for seeing the opportunity for a few more isolated storms as that frontal boundary moves through. But the bulk of what we're looking at right now is what's currently happening. And as Todd had mentioned earlier, just to regroup, talk about what we have in place. We do have that tornado watch that is in effect for all of East Tennessee. That includes southeast Kentucky, southwest Virginia, and up into the higher elevations of North Carolina. And you notice that this tornado watch is in effect until 7 p.m. That does give you a little bit of a better idea for the time frame of these storms. Most of these storms will be out of the area by the time we get to dinner time tonight. So that's kind of a quick look as to what we can expect. I do want to give you one more glimpse as to what we are seeing right now with our satellite and radar. This is a loop over the last 3 hours, and look at just how much these storms have quickly started to intensify in coverage. We are going to continue to see multiple severe thunderstorm warnings. Some of these storms do have the potential for seeing some rotation, and as we've had from some of our viewers, we've had some of these storms, Todd, you can talk more about this, the opportunity for some quarter-size hail. As we toss it over to you, Todd, I do want to talk a little bit more about some of the power outages that we have in place. This is going to be where we have right now in Campbell County. We do have over 3,000 customers without power. This is going to be primarily in the Campbell County community, and that's going to be more so from the La Follette utilities. Now, I know that crews, after these storms continue to move out, will safely try and restore that power, but that's currently what we're holding on to at this moment. We're going to continue to monitor those power outages, as I'm sure they will become more widespread as these storms track their way off to the east. Todd.
All right, Becca, excellent coverage. Thank you so much. As Becca just showed you, La Follette Utilities, Cub, Clinton Utilities Board, some of the higher power outages. Unfortunately, that's the potential, as Becca just said. These storms have the potential for two things: damaging winds, potential power outages with that, but also spinning motion, rotation. They do have the potential for rotation and possibility of some isolated tornadoes. So we're monitoring now a congealed line of strong to severe storms that's coming across at the plateau, heads up again Crossville, also continuing around Mayfield and continuing Plainview, also in western Cumberland County, right down the plateau, Sequatchie Valley, Bledsoe County, coming across the Cumberland Mountain and Rockwood Mountain, I should say. So Morgan County, Wartburg, Oakdale, Harriman, Rockwood, again through western Roane County, right down into Ray and Meigs counties take cover. This new severe thunderstorm warning, Becca, we'll zoom on into that storm in a moment for West Knox County. There is some slight rotation that's coming toward Oliver Springs with that one. And there's a look at the wall of lightning. I tell you what, you've been watching this, folks, for the, at least, well, since we've been covering the storms, but just taking the last 30 minutes or so. Look at this wall of lightning storms that's hardly moving a lot. And we call that training. So unfortunately, there's probably some flooding going on around Norris, Andersonville, Big Ridge, and in Union County, Sharps Chapel, and continue to Granger County. Just had a confirmation of quarter-size hail in Andersonville. And so these storms, again, quarter-size or larger is severe. So that confirms, as far as the hail potential, these storms are severe. We have a brand new severe thunderstorm warning, and there it is. I think that one's coming in for Cumberland County, and it took a half second to be issued, but yeah, for Cumberland County until 1 p.m. Central Time, not unexpected, again, because as you can clearly see, those storms are expected to have 60 to 70 mile per hour winds, considerable damage possible as this storm. Look at all the lightning. That tells you everything you need to know right there. Look at the energy in the atmosphere coming toward Crossville. Now, again, we're talking about a lot of energy in the atmosphere, severe storms. So what do you need to do to stay safe? Well, you simply need to go indoors in your safe place, again, the lowest floor of a sturdy home or building, and just wait for these storms to pass. They are going to be quick movers. Becca, by the way, showed you the timeline. How long are these storms going to last? Through much of the afternoon, but after about 3, 4, maybe 5 p.m., a lot of those are going to be east of most of our areas. So we're not talking about a long duration event, but for at least the next 2 to maybe 3 hours, we got to deal with these severe storms. Once we get later in the afternoon, early evening, we'll be in much better shape. That's the timeline, the expectation. Becca showed you the Futurecast of those storms that will continue to track through over the next couple of hours. Here's a look at the hail potential just east of Luttrell. Again, we talked about Norris and Andersonville, Big Ridge earlier. Now that storm coming towards Sharps, past Sharps Chapel, I should say, and now east of Luttrell, and that's moving into Granger County. So north of Blaine, Plainview, as well well. And I think I said Plainview a moment ago in Cumberland County. Still getting going here. That would be Pleasant Hill for Cumberland County earlier. Sorry, that's Plainview in Granger County for in north of Blaine. So again, that's a look at the potential damage and winds. Yeah, I'll get to that in just a second, Kelsey. Thank you. Right along Highway 11W, northeast of Blaine. You see these brighter blue colors, and right over here around Maynardville. Thank you, Becca. Yeah, wherever you see those light blue colors, that's generally, and up on our scale, that's generally severe winds. So right there, again, just below that, near severe winds, northeast of Blaine. Maynardville, severe winds near Luttrell as well. So coming out of Union into Granger County, unfortunately, probably looking at some downed trees and potential power outages. And we know that also because we've had a history of damage and winds. Becca, I'll send it back over to you.
Thank you so much, Todd. So just coming in from the National Weather Service, we do have reports of seeing a few trees down. This is going to primarily be in Campbell County. And if you do notice, folks, Campbell County is the area where we also had the greatest threat for seeing some power outages. That's where we still have right now 3,500 people without power. I believe if we update this, it's just grown a little bit now to seeing around 3,500 people without power. Let's take some video that we've had from Corrington right now. Thank you so much, viewers, for sharing this with us. We've had some amazing photos across the area. This was shared to us by Donnie. This is from Corrington. I actually want to try and give you a glimpse too as to what we see from our tower camera, because our tower camera also looks so cool across the area. Oh, we got some lightning, folks. That's a view again from our tower camera. I believe we are facing off to the northwest in particular. So we're looking off to the northwest, and you can see that again is showing that nice northeast, where you can see that nice view of what we have again just moving its way across the area. So these storms in particular are out of our viewing area, but we are going to continue to see some of those strong storms. Now, when I say viewing area, I'm talking about Knox County in particular, where our Sharps Ridge camera is going to be at. As we loop this over the last 3 hours, folks, we're going to continue to see again the opportunity for some very strong storms. We have Max 2 on the screen right now. Tavian, since it's on Max 2, do you actually want to kind of talk a little bit more about some of these storms?
Absolutely. I was actually kind of going through piece by piece just to kind of go through the greater systems that we're seeing. You're taking a look. We're finally getting a hail signature just around the Maynardville area, and that is around 1-inch hail. That's going to be that quarter size that a lot of us were just reporting on. So I might as well just kind of start again from that wider view that we've been seeing. Tornado watch stretching from Pennsylvania all the way down into Tennessee and in North Carolina. Then we have the severe thunderstorm watch that's going to be down in parts of Georgia and Alabama, a little bit of middle Tennessee as well. Lightning laden storms going from parts of southern Ohio over into West Virginia, continuing into Maryland. You see more of those severe thunderstorm warnings as you get along the Maryland-Pennsylvania line. Even this tornado warning here as you get into parts of western Maryland. But if we take it down here into parts of East Tennessee, we still have a lot going on our own. This entire line is continuing to form, moving now into parts of Upper East Tennessee. We're seeing more of that action as we get down into the Central Valley. Not as many warnings as you get into Morgan County, getting closer to Anderson, but you see right here as we start in towards Kingston, moving in towards Knoxville, Loudoun County in towards Knox County, we see more of those severe thunderstorm warnings. This large cluster of storms as we get from Cumberland County down into parts of Bledsoe, Hamilton, moving towards Ray and Meigs as well. You see Dunlap is starting to see those storms. Dayton, you're about to be right underneath a lot of those storms as they continue to move through. So I'll just take a little bit of a time to kind of zoom in on each of these and show you what we're seeing as these storms continue to move very quickly as we move along to the east. I'm actually pretty happy based off of the forecast that I was giving yesterday, because these models finally seem like they've got it back. They've got the knack for actually getting these storms down. A very strong line stretching from the northeast down into the southwest that's continuing to make its way over east. We're definitely going to see more of that wind threat as you work your way in towards the mountains. We see more of that mountain wave wind, those winds moving perpendicularly to the mountains, which is only going to make them intensify as they rise up the Smokies and the foothills and into the mountains, and continuing to fall on the other side as we get into North Carolina. So starting with the 3 severe thunderstorm warnings that we have here, this latest one including parts of Granger, Hamlin, Jefferson, and Union County. If you're in Bulls Gap, you're right underneath those storms. Same thing if you're in White Pine, Mohawk, Mossheim, that's all going to be within about 10 minutes. If you're in Union Temple, Bradburn Hills, of Greenville, that's going to be within about 10 minutes. You see heavy storms moving into parts of Corryton. Moving around Maynardville as well, if you're in Washburn, you're again seeing a lot of those stronger storms, maybe getting a little bit weaker. Like if you're in Big Bear, Tazewell, Speedwell, it seems like you guys are in the clear end right now as that storm continues to move its way through. But Strawberry Plains, Newmarket, Dandridge, Bainbury, you're going to be seeing them within these maybe next 20 to 30 minutes. I wanted to take a second again and even talk about the velocity, the wind speeds that we're seeing with a lot of these storms moving upwards of 50 miles per hour. We're seeing a 35 right here. There's a little bit of green here. That's going to be upwards of 50 miles per hour as well. You move further into the green or into the red, this bright right here that's almost becoming pink, those are going to be winds getting upwards of 55, even greater miles per hour as they continue to move their way through. That's not necessarily any rotation. We just have the station here at Morristown that's going to be having those winds moving in opposite directions toward and away. We move further down into the valley. We're still looking at multiple severe thunderstorm warnings as well, including this one down here that's going to be for Anderson, Granger, Knox, and Union counties. We've got this smaller cell that it was originally built for that's continuing to move its way up into the northeast. We've got this greater line of storms that's moving in through parts of Morgan County, further down into Anderson. If you're in Harriman, if you're in Rockwood, those storms are right over top of you. And that Rockwood, again, is included in that newer severe thunderstorm warning that's going to be in southern parts of Cumberland County. Wartburg, it looks like you were just starting to get a little bit clear of this primary line, but we do have some smaller cells that are forming behind it. So you guys are not quite done yet. I'll move out of the way so you can see a little bit of how that is tracking. If you're in the Sherwood Estates, if you're in Alcoa, Eagleton Village, even Powell, that's going to be coming to you in about 10 minutes or so. Wildwood, Third Creek, that's going to be within about 20 minutes. And we're even watching these storms continue to make their way closer to the city of Knoxville. If you are in North Knox, like if you're in parts of Halls, maybe even Fountain City, even in parts of far eastern Knoxville, as you get closer towards Strawberry Plains, you continue to move out from I-40, you are going to be in the thick of those storms. So if you're outside, definitely head inside. And if you are inside, definitely stay there. Continue to be in your safe place as we continue to watch these storms move. Look at that. New severe thunderstorm warning that's going to be including parts of Morgan County, parts of Anderson County, even stretching down into what I think is a bit of Loudoun County as well. It can be hard to see when you got all these storms that are building up again side by side. So that is going to be going. Let's see if we have any new data coming up on that. I don't have my phone on me. But again, we're watching this line of storms that's going to be moving from parts of far Morgan County, getting into parts of Anderson as well, northern Anderson County. We're watching this bigger bulge here that's stretching down through Wartburg into Harriman. Thank you so much, Todd. Oh, what would we do without phones? Anyway, we're continuing to watch the storm continue to make its way through. As we get into these coming minutes, we are seeing this severe thunderstorm that's going to be continuing going in about 30 minutes or so. We're seeing more of those 60-mile-per-hour winds, quarter-size hail. And again, these are very damaging storms that are continuing to move into the area. There we go. We got this new severe thunderstorm warning. We'll give that a click right there. We are still seeing pretty similar conditions to just about everywhere else in the area. Winds getting upwards of 60 to 70 miles per hour. And surprisingly, radar scope has not quite updated with that yet. But we're going to keep on moving. Showing again some more of that velocity. We're seeing a lot more of these gusts winds. A lot of this light green, that's going to be getting into the upper 50s. This especially bright green as you get further down towards areas of Harriman and Rockwood. Those are going to be especially dangerous winds as we continue further into those next couple of minutes. We still have this one severe thunderstorm warning that is now just moving past Lenore City. That greater cell is finally starting to maybe weaken just a tad bit as it continues to kind of wrap around itself and move forward. But we have these smaller cells that are moving down in towards Loudoun. So if you're Loudoun, keep an eye out. If you're in Ashley Oaks, Wedgwood Hills, Trails West, that's going to be within about 10 minutes. Fox Hills and Beechwood, that's only going to be within about 15 minutes. If you're in the Kingston area, you also have a lot more of those storms continuing to come your way. Now, this mass over here is a beast, to say the least. If you're in Paint Rock, Athens, Sweetwater, that's going to be without 10 minutes. Lenore City and Farragut, all within about 15 minutes. This is that greater severe thunderstorm warning that's going to be including parts of Cumberland, reaching down into Van Buren and White counties as well. This huge mass coming out of Middle Tennessee continue to move forward as well. And this is when I even saw some of those gustier winds as hopefully that loads. Yeah, there you go. 81-mile-per-hour winds as they approach areas into the Southern Valley. A lot of areas around it sitting in the 60s as well. 72 miles per hour as you get down towards the Dunlap area. So those winds are moving extremely quickly as the storm itself moves around 65 miles per hour, continuing over to the east. So very dangerous. If you're not in your safe place already in the Southern Valley, make sure you get there. But Todd, I'll send it over to you with some newer updates.
Okay, Tavian, excellent coverage, and thank you so much for the storms. Yeah, those storms coming right across the Cumberland Plateau. A lot of different details we're continuing to get to and monitor, folks. We do have reports of trees down, some power outages. We'll get to that in a moment. First of all, I want to start with the big picture. These areas of thunderstorms that have been strong to severe are continuing to form into a singular linear line with some individual broken cells ahead of it. But this linear line of storms could have damaging winds, organized damage damage and winds all along the line. So anywhere in the line, we could be looking at potential damage and winds and possible power outages. Also, that's factor number one. Factor number two, we're looking at potential for some isolated tornadoes, brief spin-ups within the line. But whether there's a tornado warning or a severe thunderstorm warning, we are looking at the probability and the likelihood of some wind damage. Either way, sometimes severe storms can cause some similar damage as a tornado. So take both seriously. That's the big picture of what we're looking at. We do have a level 3 out of 5 enhanced risk area for all of East Tennessee pretty much, and also a level 4 out of 5 for significant severe potential that includes basically from Maynardville, Morristown, Greenville, Rogersville, Tazewell, up into Kentucky and Virginia. So that's a look at the potential. Now, I'm going to send it over to Becca Sweet at our big monitor, and we're going to walk through specific storms. There are some storms that we're monitoring, tracking, including one coming into Loudoun County and deep west Knox County. For that, I'll send it over to you, Becca.
Thank you so much, Todd. This storm in particular, both Todd and I have been watching it for quite some time. You've heard us initially talk about it as it was pushing its way over the Kingston area. It's now transitioned its way a little bit further off to the northeast. And this storm in particular, with these storms, sometimes they like to breathe. They like to pulsate. They like to get nice and tight, and then they continue to loosen up again. As I was just looking at one of our most recent velocity scans, not necessarily looking quite as impressive as what it did perhaps even 10 to 15 minutes ago. But with a lot of these storms, as Todd was saying, they can really be strong in their nature. If you look right now, we do have this line of showers and thunderstorms that are severe, making their way across East Tennessee. And in particular, we are focusing our attention on what we're going to be seeing right now into the far southern valley, where there is that potential with some of these storms. We can have wind gusts up to 60 to 70 miles an hour. As we zoom on in a little bit closer to that storm in particular, the one that was pushing into West Knox County, this storm does have the opportunity, folks, of producing some broad rotation. Again, there is no tornado warning issued on this storm. And at one point, it actually did look a little bit more impressive. But right here, as Todd was mentioning, just to the west of Farragut, we still have some broad rotation within this storm, some very gusty winds. There is that chance within this storm that we could potentially see wind gusts, I would say up to around 40 to 50 miles an hour, but certainly not quite as impressive as what it was just moments ago. But when you look at this area, you have to think what we're getting is the radar that's continuing to zoom on out at an angled view. And so we're getting a chance to see of what some of these winds are like, especially a little bit further up into the atmosphere. And so we did at one point have some very gusty winds, and some of these winds were hitting the surface, down trees, power outages, not out of the question. One of the main questions that we have had over on our Facebook page is for people wanting to know when these storms are going to be coming to an end. When are they going to be making their way out of their area, and when are we going to be in the clear? As you can clearly see, this was the time frame of what we were focusing our attention on for some of those strong storms. And speaking of which, again, we are going to continue to see a lot of these storms continue to slide their way through the region. Models are showing that potential for a lot of these storms to stick around between 2, 3 o'clock this afternoon, continuing to slide up into the higher elevations across northeast Tennessee. And this is our high resolution model, so you have to think we're constantly getting updates on this. This is actually more of an updated view from what we had just moments ago. It does show it perhaps kind of staying around a little bit longer across northeast Tennessee. And you notice in particular, this is where we do have that level 4 risk for seeing some of those stronger storms. That's where we have a little bit of a better opportunity for looking at some of those gustier winds. Winds gusting up to around 70 to 80 miles an hour. Not out of the question with some of these storms, but just as quickly as it continues to roll on in. And yes, folks, the next few hours will be very intense and very busy. They will continue to slide on out as we get into the later hours of the afternoon, going into the evening. And from that point on, the rest of the night actually looking to be, again, on the quieter side. And so if you are wondering, again, I've had a few folks ask from the Fentress and Scott counties areas, asking if they are done with the storms. Now, there is that chance. As you notice, we do have this second cluster of storms that's continuing to push its way across parts of the plateau, and they're sliding their way off to the northeast. So if you live in Fentress and if you live in Scott counties, you're not completely in the clear just yet. But if you are watching as these storms continue to track off to the east, I would say within the next hour or so, most of this activity is going to be sliding out of your area, but in the far southern half of Fentress and Scott counties, we still have some very strong storms in place. Watching another severe thunderstorm warning that has been in effect for Cumberland County. We're to the point right now, Todd, where we have so many warnings that are in place. It's hard to tell which one was the most recent warning that was issued, because we're just continuing to see this line of severe weather slide its way off to the northeast. We do have some new warnings. Todd, you're right next to the computer. That's giving us more of a little bit of that data. We're going to send it over to you with some of the newest warnings we do have in place.
Okay, thank you, Becca. Yeah, we're currently looking at the Granger, Hamlin, Jefferson, Union County warning until 1:45. Here's one of the most recent ones. Thank you, Becca. Excellent coverage. Severe thunderstorm warning for Cock, Hamlin, Jefferson, and Knox counties until 2:45. So continuing to see these storms now. That one round of storms making their way northeast of Knoxville from Corryton toward Jefferson City, Newmarket, Talbot, Alpha, Morristown, coming off Clinch Mountain in Granger County into the Lakeway area. So a heads up again from Morristown, Jefferson City, Dandridge, Lakeway area. These are continuing to track their way again into, and will be tracking their way into Cock and Hamlin counties, and from Jefferson and Knox counties. That's in place until 2:45. And as Becca said, yeah, simply put, we are looking at multiple storms that continue across much of our region. So we're going to reset and widen back out so you can see the view. Here's a look at just the last hour. And again, these line of storms basically stretching from Spring City up to Crossville and continuing to track right back over toward Rogersville. So from Rogersville to Crossville, down near Athens, Maryville, Dandridge, Newport, Greenville, and kind of all areas in between. This is the area of focus right now. Now, if you're watching from Jamestown, Huntsville, near Tazewell, not quite yet, but up into Kentucky, you're seeing the storms lessen. You've already had the storms. So now they're continuing to track a little bit further to the south and east. We've got an updated look at power outages. I think we'll take a look at that. And Annie Carr back in the booth with taking a look at most of those have been in Campbell County. As far as the power outages, 3,400 right now without power in Campbell County right there. So again, that's what we're looking at 34, almost 3,500, 3,499 in Campbell County. Other power outages coming down the Cumberland Plateau. The issue, though, is this line of storms does contain potential damage and wind. So as we watch these storms continue to make their way east off the plateau and across the northern half of East Tennessee, we'll likely continue, unfortunately, to be tracking power outages because there's a likelihood of damaging winds down trees due to the damaging winds, and therefore some power outages. So that's what we're looking at right there. You see in Bedford County at some 2,000 to 2,500. So that's what we're looking at. Again, these storms do have a history of potential damage and winds. We do have severe thunderstorm warning for Knox County, Tennessee, Granger, Union until 2 p.m. And again, we have multiple warnings coming in for West Knox County and also for Northeast Knox County. And I'm going to zoom on into these storms as we watch these storms approach Farragut, move in your safe place. Again, possible hail as well as damage and winds. We have new video coming in. I believe, is this from Campbell County? Did you say? Okay, new video from Campbell County. Green. Thank you for, and I hope you're indoors and safely shooting this video and send it to us. You can see the torrential rainfall. I see some leaves, coming off the trees. That could be from the wind. Sometimes you'll see leaves shredding off trees when you have hail, of course, and you can see a lot of the splats on the ground. But torrential rainfall, we have had confirmed, we've seen penny-sized hail reports. We've had confirmed quarter-sized hail in Anderson County and in Andersonville County, Andersonville and Norris areas. Big Ridge had confirmed quarter-sized hail. So again, that's another confirmation of you want to certainly be indoors. That's a look at Granger, Knox, and Union counties. That's one of the warnings. I mentioned the other warning coming into West Knox County, and that's going to be in place until, we have to zoom on in because we have a lot of severe thunderstorm warnings. There's the one for West Knox County coming out of Anderson County, including, well, basically near Oak Ridge and Farragut and Hardin Valley and Lenoir City and near Friendsville, but let's say Louisville, kind of takes it to Louisville, including North Shore, Toto Road areas. That's in place, again, until 2 p.m. Anderson, Blount, Knox, and Loudoun counties. Again, that's Farragut, Lenoir City until 2 p.m. Severe thunderstorm damage and winds, take cover. In addition to the potential damage and winds and maybe some hail, we got a lot of lightning and very heavy rainfall. Look back to our west. So here's one of the other concerns. Again, these storms are going to be moving progressively, but look at how much heavy rain we got to deal with here. These storms, again, I'll go ahead and show you that. Look at back to the south of Crossville, coming right into Farragut and southwest Knoxville. Look at those storms. So those are moving due east. So we got all that training going on for at least another hour, hour and a half or so, potentially. That's going to cause potential flooding. So in addition to the damage and wind threat, we have a flooding threat. And we also have a potential rotation in some of these storms. Let's see, we have more power. East Knox County, we have reports of power outages. Excuse me, thank you, Annie. Let's go ahead and take a look at that. This is East Knox County. Okay, yes, Sharon Ingram, yes, good capture. That's basically what you're seeing. There's a shelf cloud and the torrential rain. See that bluish, or I should say greenish color off in the distance. Speaking of which, let's go back to our, let's show our cameras. We can show Sharps Ridge camera. If you can take that in the back, or I can put it up on my system if I need to. We are monitoring and tracking these storms. Thank you, guys, as they continue to work their way into. So that's a live look looking northeast. And on my end, we're going to do live on air. We're going to pan on around here. That's a look at what we're seeing. We're looking due east. Again, that's our old Doppler radar that really served us well for many years up on our small tower. There's a look at downtown Knoxville. We're going to work our way back on around. We're going to check out that storm. There's going to be a pole in the way, but that's look due west, get around the pole, and then we're looking now north. So there's a look at what we're seeing. Again, and then we're back to kind of northeast. What you're seeing in the background there is we call little scud clouds, little inflow clouds. Sometimes if you ever see one of those, it looks like a funnel cloud. It's probably not. It's just a little inflow scud cloud. But that's what we're looking at on our Sharps Ridge sky cam as storms continue to make their way into Knoxville area. Okay, we'll come back to our system. Again, the line of severe storms is making its way again down. We have a brand new warning for Loudoun County, also for Monroe County and McMinn County. This one just coming in. It includes Blount, McMinn, and Monroe counties. Also includes Hamilton, but Athens, Englewood, Calhoun, and Etowah until 2:30. So that's the most recent warning we do have. Other counties included. There's so many that we have our system set to 4 right now, but there's a lot more than that. Let's see. In addition to that, we got the Loudoun one, also McMinn, Meigs, Monroe, Polk, Roane, Sequatchie. So, so graphically, this whole line of storms coming in from the North City down toward Calhoun and tracking its way due east. This is a look at the last hour as this line of strong to severe storms. And by the way, we appreciate you uploading on our app photos and video. Do that safely indoors. Don't want you to be outside in these storms, but if you can safely upload those, posting those on our social pages, Twitter, Facebook, we appreciate you posting it and sharing those with us safely so we can relay those to our viewers. Heads up from Harriman to Oak Ridge. Again, strong to severe storms, damage winds possible. That will continue to, everything's moving its way into West Knox County, from Anderson, Loudoun County toward Knoxville. So if you're watching Knoxville, look at that. We got storms all around. Up towards Strawberry Plains, Corrington, Jefferson City, Morristown, Lakeway area. Yeah, coming up 11E, 11W, significant storms, damage winds possible from Morristown, Mossheim, White Pine, Mohawk, continue around Mooresburg, down toward Greenville, Cott County, Greene County, Jefferson, Hamblin, severe, again, Knox, and up into southern Hawkins County. If you mention your county, that's another area of storms with significant damage. All right, we're going to reset for right now. Becca, I'm going to send it over to you, and we'll relay more information as we get it. I do want to pass along real quick, trees down in Luttrell and numerous trees and power lines down in Sequatchie County near Dunlap. Becca, I'll send it back over to you.
All right, let's kind of recap again, quickly talk about where we're at, folks. If you are joining us, it is a 10 weather impact day. The reason we originally had a 10 weather impact day was because this came through from the Storm Prediction Center. It is the first time since 1990 that we have had that level 4 risk in effect in the month of August, and that's going to be across East Tennessee. And typically in the month of August, folks, it's rare for us to see a whole lot of tornado activity. In fact, including the tornado that we've had last week, 6 tornadoes in total in history in the month of August. And so that just really goes to show how big of an event this has been across the area. We've had that level 4 risk across northeast Tennessee, level 3 risk that includes the rest of us here across East Tennessee, level 2 risk that doesn't go across the far northern half of the plateau, but most of the area across East Tennessee. Again, this is from the Storm Prediction Center, basically saying where the right ingredients were in place. Now, as we give you a loop as to what we've had over the last 3 hours, watch as these storms have continued to push their way through the region. You can see initially we had some of those stronger storms where we did have a tornado warning just about an hour ago across southeast Kentucky. We are looking at, again, that line of very active weather that is continuing to make its way across northeast Tennessee. There you can see that thunderstorm that did bring in that tornado warning across southeast Kentucky. So far, we've had no tornado warnings across East Tennessee, but we've had some broad rotation within these storms, and we've already had the reports of seeing multiple trees down across parts of Campbell County, and we'll hear more about power outages coming up in just a little bit. As we continue to see along I-81, we are looking at some very heavy rain, some frequent lightning. Todd had mentioned this earlier. We're watching what we call a training effect. And by that, when you think about a train, you get one car after another that's going down a similar track. That is what we have in place across northeast Tennessee. And so not only is the concern going to be some very gusty winds, but in transition, since these storms, again, have still been rather strong, but they've also brought in quite a bit of moisture, it does look like this is turning into a very heavy rain event. In addition to that, localized flooding becoming a little bit more of an issue. We do have the potential for seeing some flooding concerns going across northeast Tennessee. We've had reports of winds gusting up to around 50 to 60 miles per hour. And again, I'm sure as the day goes on, we will hear reports of perhaps some more downed trees, perhaps some damage across the area. But you can see we do have this line in general of very strong storms that's continuing to push its way off to the east. Another thing that Todd has noticed, and if you kind of look at this from a big picture point of view, you can especially notice this at night. We focus our attention on strength and intensity of these storms by the amount of lightning that we have in place. And as we continue to put this into motion, you can see where some of those strong storms are at. And usually you can tell the strength in the storms by the amount of lightning that you have in place. And most of these storms are still holding on to their strength and still being quite strong across the area. And a reminder, folks, if you can hear thunder, you can be struck by lightning. So even if you may not be in some of those locations where we do have thunderstorms in place, you still have the possibility of being in the danger zone when it comes to, again, quite a bit of lightning that's continuing to happen into the area. I like the way that Todd has put this. He's circled 2 different pockets of where we do have those main clusters of storms, primarily moving into northeast Tennessee. And now we have this second cluster of storms, which in particular, the National Weather Service has been focusing their attention on some of the gusty winds that we could have in place. 60 to 70 mile per hour wind gusts pushing their way down into the Southern Valley. We haven't necessarily had anything that's been overly concerning when it comes to some rotation within these storms, but some of these storms could have little pockets of rotation within some of these isolated thunderstorms where we could have, again, the opportunity for maybe, again, some broad rotation, still seeing some wind gusts within these storms up to around 50 to 60 miles per hour. So very strong in nature and capable of producing, again, downed trees, power outages. It does look like these storms will continue to carry on, bringing in those gusty winds across the far southern valley. Look at that, just to the southwest of Farragut, heading into parts of Loudoun County. If they hold together, going to be sliding into parts of Blount County. We could potentially see wind gusts up to around 50 to 60 miles an hour. So some very gusty winds going to be sliding their way down into the southern valley. And as we've been mentioning, it's this cluster of storms that will continue to bring in some very gusty winds. When you see 85 miles an hour, that doesn't necessarily mean that's what we're looking at the surface, but when you have some of those heavy rain showers, that could bring down some of these stronger winds at the surface, and therefore, again, also produce some very damaging concerns across the area. So if you look at this, it's such a wide area of very strong winds continuing to slide into the Southern Valley. That's almost more concerning, and this can cause cause just as much damage as some isolated tornadoes certainly can, and it's at a much bigger, broader spectrum. So we are going to continue to hold on to some very strong storms, multiple severe thunderstorm warnings. In fact, Kaylee, who is also tracking the storms with us, meteorologist Kaylee Bowers, she said at one point we had over 9 severe thunderstorm warnings in effect across the area, and most of these storms, as Todd had kind of mentioned, broken up into 2 different sections. Right now in Knoxville, we're not necessarily seeing a whole lot of the activity just yet, but things are about to get started, folks. If you do have any travel plans, we do have severe thunderstorm warnings on I-40. If you head on I-75, we're looking at severe thunderstorm warnings, very gusty winds. If you drive a larger profile vehicle, or if you know someone that drives a larger profile vehicle, you may want to call them and say, hey, pull over, let these storms pass. They're going to be moving out of here very, very quickly. But if you drive a semi, if you drive a truck, if you drive a larger vehicle, again, now is not the time to be on the roadways, as those larger vehicles do have the chance to kind of feel the wind so much more than some of those smaller vehicles. This is a look at one of those warnings that we have now moving into Anderson, Blount, Knox, and Loudoun counties. That's going to be in effect until 2 p.m., which is going to be here for another few minutes. We're going to continue to see that likely be extended, as these warnings will probably carry on throughout the rest of the afternoon. When all is said and done with, and I'm going to let Todd talk about this more in our Futurecast model, I do expect that a majority of these showers and thunderstorms, he's going to pop it up now, will be out of the area by the time we go into the afternoon. You notice it's a little bit on the right side of track. Again, right around 2 o'clock this afternoon, you notice that we do have that line of thunderstorms stretching from northeast to all the way down to the southwestern corner of our viewing area. This takes us into 3 o'clock, so within the next hour, we're really not going to see a whole lot of movement from these storms, and we could even have more of that training effect that is possible across northeast Tennessee. And at that point, within the next hour or so, if you live in Blount County, if you live in Severe County, a majority of these showers and thunderstorms are going to be sliding into your area. Now, who's going to be in the clear within the next hour? Well, if you live across parts of the Plateau, Fentress, Scott County, moving into Morgan County, Cumberland County, as these storms continue to track their way off to the west, or off to the east, excuse me, you will be in the clear from west to east. So really, once you start to get a lot of these thunderstorms pushing their way out of the area, we're really not expecting much in the form of development behind this main cluster of storms. And so really, even by the evening, 4, 5 o'clock, most of our models do show the potential for a lot of this activity sliding out of the area. So it is going to be relatively quick. Now, as the actual cold front does pass through, you may notice a few more additional showers and thunderstorms. That's just kind of like sprinkles on top of the ice cream, just adding a little extra flair to it. We may have a few more of those additional showers, but by that point on, we're expecting much quieter weather. Perfect timing for a lot of those students who are going to be starting school tomorrow in Knox County. But it does look like our radar is going to be much quieter by the time we head into the later evening hours. Big picture point of view, you can really see that cold front in full spectrum. We're not the only ones who are dealing with these very strong storms. That tornado watch is in effect for all of us across East Tennessee, moving up into parts of Kentucky, moving into parts of North Carolina, and even heading off to our south. That's a look at your tornado watch that is in effect until 7 p.m. tonight. So far, we have had no tornado warnings issued for us here across East Tennessee. We've had one across southeast Kentucky, but we're going to continue to watch this situation closely. Mentioned this before, but those gusty winds, whether or not they are formed with a tornado, can still be damaging, and they can still cause power outages. With more on what we're seeing across that area, we're going to send it over to you, Brittany. You've been great hanging out with us in here in the studio, and you have more on what's happening across the area.
I do. Thank you so much, Rebecca. We want to give you an update outages that we have been seeing. We are seeing and hearing new reports of trees down in Luttrell. That has potentially led to a few outages in Union County being reported by KUB. Earlier, we saw several outages in Claiborne and Cumberland County, Claiborne and Campbell County, but we're also seeing that those are looking a bit better also in Claiborne County as well. We also are seeing some outages in now Cumberland County and Ray County. So take a look there. You can see in Cumberland County about 4,900 folks out at this hour. Looking now in Morgan County, we're seeing about 700 or so in that county as well. And now looking at Campbell, looking much better there. Only about 195 customers without power there in Campbell County this afternoon. But of course, that's because of all of these storms we've been seeing go through the area. As Rebecca just mentioned, no tornado warnings quite yet, but of course we're going to keep an eye on that. Our weather team has been doing a great job of that. You also have been doing a great job of sending us some video and photos of what you're seeing outside of your window. Please, safely, if you can continue to do that, we would love for you to do that. So send that to us through our free WBIR app. You can download that again for free in your app store and just send that in the Near Me section. We want to now check back in with Chief Meteorologist Todd Howell, who's tracking more storms for us.
Okay, Brittany Bailey, thank you so much, and certainly I hope you're having a good, safe Monday. Oh, by the way, and Becca alluded to this, when that cold front moves through later on tonight, tomorrow, I know for Knox County school kids, a half day starts tomorrow. The weather looks fantastic for tomorrow. So, yeah, for those who had school today and trying to get it out, I know that's been certainly perhaps a hassle and tough going. But as far as Knox County kids tomorrow, the timing's good in terms of the weather looks much more favorable tomorrow. Matter of fact, Tuesday and Wednesday look decent. Of course, we'll talk more about that later in our full forecast at 4, 5, and 6. Here's what we're looking at right now. Again, to bring you up to date, this is the last 3 hours. Strong to severe thunderstorms are making their way into the valley, including here in Knoxville. We do have and have had reports of trees down, and so we have numerous severe thunderstorm warnings, all in these yellow boxes or yellow polygons up and down the valley, from Greenville all the way down toward Chattanooga. So it includes all of the Great Valley, if you will. We have a tornado watch in place. Let me go ahead and show you that. The tornado watch is in place until 7 p.m. However, these are often issued, and I'll go ahead and widen out, and Becca talked about this a moment ago. These are often issued for long periods of time, and it's not just for East Tennessee. Notice this watch in particular is for East Tennessee and extends over into North Carolina. And so we are basically kind of going to be on the western half of that watch box. So more than likely, again, we're going to see the threat for severe weather ending later this afternoon. So we won't have to wait all the way till 7 p.m. So a little bit of good news there, but we do have that potential, again, for strong to severe storms for at least the next maybe hour to 2 hours at least, as these storms are making their way through. So just to give you a heads up on the timing, again, we still have maybe a couple to a few more hours of possible strong to severe storms, and hopefully we'll see a little bit of a weakening trend in time, and we do not have any tornado warnings right now. We do have severe thunderstorm warnings with damaging winds in excess of 60 miles per hour possible. The most recent severe thunderstorm warning was issued 2 minutes ago, and this is for Anderson, Blount, Granger, Jefferson, Knox, Loudoun, Morgan, Roane, Sevier, and Union counties until 3 p.m. So this is the most recent warning. Now, the whole line of storms is being warned by the National Weather Service office in Morristown. Good job, guys. And we're looking at Anderson, Blount, Knox, and Sevier counties, again, included. This is the most recent warning, and that's until 3 p.m. Storms are moving into Knoxville right now. And Andy in the back, if we can take an updated look at our downtown Knoxville camera, we'll try to get that, and or Sharps Ridge. And I'm looking at both on some of our monitors off the side. We'll show you what it looks like outside. This is radar, and this is our downtown Knoxville camera. So here comes the wall of rain. And again, now, thank you guys, and now that we've got that up, I will hop on over and I will be able to move this camera. We're looking kind of northwest right now. I'm going to kind of pan on over to the west right here, and you can see as these storms continuing to move on in. I'm going to widen out just a little bit for full perspective. Yeah, here comes the rain, obviously, and heavy rain, and potentially some leading edge of damaging wind gusts could be in excess of 60 miles per hour. That's what it looks like. You're looking live right now in downtown Knoxville. And again, that's what we're seeing. I'll kind of pan on over. There's the buildings in downtown. Again, everybody getting wet. Here comes some heavy rain. Obviously, this will impact the roads. So as you can imagine, plan on driving carefully, taking your time on the roads. There's going to be ponding and a lot of water that we're certainly seeing on the roadways. Let me see if we can hop on over, and I don't know if we can take a look at our tower camera as well, and we'll look at that. Again, we are looking at the storms that are continuing to track on into downtown Knoxville, so I'm going to kind of come back around and take a look at these storms. Yeah. All right. We're looking due west down the ridge right now, and we're on our main tower, Channel 10, looking at other TV towers off in the distance. Here's a look at this line of storm, and you can kind of, I'm all the way widened out. So we're looking over Knoxville, and you can see from right to left as this line of storms is moving from screen right to screen left, if you will, and that sheet or wall of rain is basically it's about to cover up the camera here momentarily, but it's just kind of overspreading Knoxville. So this is very heavy rain, and potential damage winds. Let's take a look at some video just coming in from Crossville in Cumberland County. And we'll show you this right now. This is thanks to Francine Larney. Thank you, Francine. And again, hopefully you were able to be in a safe location out of harm's way. Some gusty winds, some heavy rain. There's that sideways rain coming in as these storms pushed across the Cumberland Plateau. And again, a lot of that wind-driven, wind-swept rain. Damaging winds have been reported, again, along this line of storms making its way across Cumberland County, including, this is from Crossville, and in Cumberland County, and making its way due east. Most recent report of thunderstorm wind damage is coming in from Dayton and Ray County. And so again, that's a look at what we have right now. So there's what we're seeing. Again, right now we're coming back to our live view of radar right now. And again, our tower cam confirming heavy rainfall, potential for damage and winds making its way into Knoxville and Knox County. We have the severe thunderstorm warning in place until 3 p.m. Tavian, I'm going to switch on over to the monitor. I'll let you kind of come into the weather center and maybe drive that. We'll talk about these storms that are continuing to make their way into Knox County, including Farragut, Carnes, Hardin Valley, also into Knoxville and back to the west, including around in Morgan County, Coalfield, down toward Loudoun County in the North City. And again, we're talking about a wall of heavy rain. Becca mentioned this a moment ago, and a lot of times we'll see this. We have the potential for damage winds all up and down this line of storms. Maybe we'll go back one or two and see the bigger picture as these storms are continuing to track to the east. But we have the potential for damage winds on the leading edge of this line of storms, but it's transitioning also into a heavy rainfall event with a lot of dangerous lightning. So you certainly want to be indoors as these storms are impacting much of East Tennessee. And oh, by the way, on the top left, we have a weather impact day because much of our region is being impacted by significant storms, potential at least for some damage winds. Again, hopefully not, but there's that threat and potential for damage and wind gusts. And so that's why we do have a 10 weather impact day ongoing for this afternoon. Now, once we get by into late afternoon, these storms are going to be tapering off. La Follette, Oneida, Jamestown, you're doing much better. Still looking at northern edge of storms around Robbins, but up into Kentucky and Virginia, again, this whole line of storms is sinking to the east-southeast and now impacting much of us in East Tennessee. So as we come on down to the south, again, tracking this line, we have strong to severe storms that continue to impact the Lakeway area, Dandridge, Jefferson City, Morristown, also from Greenville, and continuing around Mohawk in Greene County, Baileyton, up towards the Gordonsville, Churchill, and again, Hawkins, Greene County, Hamblin County, significant storms. It's almost like that was one cluster of thunderstorms around Morristown back to Jefferson City, Newmarket and Talbot, and then another large area of thunderstorms from Wartburg to Knoxville and back down into the Southern Valley, including Meigs, McMahon, and Monroe County. So if you're watching from Lenore City down to Greenback, Von Orr, Madisonville, down toward Athens and Etowah, toward Tellico Plains, you're also seeing some of those significant storms as they're making their way all up and down the Great Valley and tracking to the east. So again, one of the most recent warnings for Knox County, Anderson, Blount, and Sevier counties as they're tracking to the east. This warning does include Corryton, Farragut, Carnes, and Knoxville. In Knox County, damage and winds in excess of 60 miles per hour could have hail up to quarter size or larger possible. We have had some hail reports. Damage and winds is the main threat. Some large hail also possible, and we're also looking at isolated tornadoes possible. That's why we do have a broad tornado watch in place. Now, it's in place until 7 p.m. Hopefully that's going to be expiring sooner. That time should be, because we're looking on radar, we're tracking the storms, what we call nowcasting, as it's a forecast before they get here. Once the storms get here, it's nowcasting. You know, you're tracking it with radar, et cetera. And our high-res model, our Futurecast, also confirms that these storms should be exiting the region after 4 to 5 p.m. So once we get later in the afternoon, we will be improving. All right, let's take a break from radar right now and get a check of traffic and see how things are looking on TDOT SmartWay camera, believing as the heavy wall of rain confirmed by our cameras moving into Knoxville and Knox County, that's going to impact the roadway. So certainly some slowdown. So drive carefully. Again, remember, headlights on while in the daytime while raining. That's a look at, I believe it's Level Road and Pellissippi. I believe, Brittany, I'll let you take it away. Sorry.
Much, Todd. Appreciate that. As you're looking there, again, as Todd mentioned from our TDOT SmartWay camera, that's I-40 at Level, and you are seeing, Yeah, Pellissippi Parkway, perhaps at Level Road. There you see another look at Middlebrook Pike and 40. And then if you look at the top side of your screen, that's where you can see some real slowdowns. And if you really look at the camera as well, you can see the rain coming down. And you can see, if you look closely, look, you can see some ponding and standing water on the roadways as cars go through it. So just a reminder to be very careful out there as you're heading through traffic, even if traffic is not backed up, as you see there on the top of your screen. It can be very dangerous. You can run into some patches of standing water on the roadway that you might not be expecting. We want to give you another view, perhaps from another SmartWay camera here this afternoon as we watch those storms definitely come into the Knoxville area. Again, just a look at Middlebrook Pike there as traffic is starting to move along a bit better after it was almost at a complete standstill there. We do want to say that we have not heard of any potential wrecks reported, just heavy congestion in some area. We also were seeing some areas bogged down around I-40 at Middlebrook Pike, closer to downtown as well. But the good news is, having been looking at this Middlebrook camera for a few minutes now, we can see that traffic is starting to move along just fine. Now we want to get another check of our weather forecast with, I believe we're going to send things back over to Todd now.
Okay, yeah, Brittany, thank you so much. Tavian Whitehurst also standing by. That TDOT SmartWay camera, by the way, impressive, because you could see the wind, the heavy rain. You saw the ponding, the spraying. You got to really slow down. You can hydroplane. Tavian, I think, and I don't know if we can take Max too, I think you've got the traffic, some of the road closures, and for more on the traffic and some of the weather updates. And we'll get that up in just a moment. While we're getting that, again, significant weather moving into Knoxville and Knox County. Damage and winds possible, very heavy rainfall, and also a lot of lightning. Okay, let me send it over to you, Tavian, for a traffic and weather update. I know it's behind here. Tell you what, Tavian, I'll get out of the way and let Tavian come in.
Well, you know,
and tell us about traffic. Take it away, my friend.
Well, I heard everyone continuing to talk about it, so I figured it seemed like a good idea to just take a look at some of the drive time maps. Nothing too crazy over most of the area, but we're seeing a lot more of those smaller pockets of traffic starting to pop up into the area. You get further up into Anderson County, you see just north of Clinton and Rocky Top. As you're making your way up the highway, you continue to see a lot more of those smaller buildups. You work your way out towards 40 on the east side, not too much traffic, but you see here on this other side here, Dandridge, between Jefferson City and Dandridge on 92, a lot more of those slowdowns happening as well. But we're also looking at the more classic spots, and we have that rain coming over the city of Knoxville right now, starting to mess with your power, so could be a good time to take another look at those power outages. Thunder and lightning is striking, so definitely keep yourselves aware of that. But back here on that traffic again, we're seeing more of that congestion as you make your way from downtown Knoxville, where we're actually seeing a bit of a slowdown here as we get into sort of that Alcoa Highway entrance kind of exit area as you make your way further out. Moving down 40, we're seeing a lot more of that orange, a lot more of that red as you continue down even towards the 75 split, getting towards Lenore City, the split between 75 and 40, a lot more of those general slowdowns. So that's going to continue to grow as we see more of that severe weather in much of the area. But until then, I'll take a little bit more time to talk about some of the risks that we're going to be seeing. That severe potential, still going to be seeing a lot of that weather, still seeing a lot of that level 4, that significant opportunity. Most of our area sitting in this level 3, and now that level 2 continuing to move out into the plateau. Andy, you said you had another camera ready, if I heard that correctly? Tower cam ready. And well, not much to see on that camera. It is gray. That rain has fallen. It looks like we might as well be inside of a cloud. That Sharp Ridge camera, usually one of the first ones to kind of get covered up because it's so high up in altitude. Clay, I think I heard you say something to me. Could you repeat that again? Yeah, let's take a look at our downtown camera as well, see if we can get a little more action there. So we can see a couple buildings, but that visibility is low, especially the higher up you go. If you're in the Sharps Ridge area, if you're in some of those higher elevations in the mountains and foothills, that rain is going to be moving even a bit harder. That visibility is going to continue to be low. And I took a step outside just a couple of minutes ago before that rain started coming down in the Knoxville area. Those clouds are moving quickly. You know, sometimes you can look up in the sky and sort of seem like those clouds are moving, but those clouds are so low to the surface and dropping a lot of that rain, you can watch them moving as they're getting over most of the area. But if we look back here in the BAM again, I was talking a bit more about that severe weather risk as it's continuing to move further into the area. This is affecting millions of people as we get into some of the most populated cities in the country, going from southern Pennsylvania into Baltimore, D.C., parts of Philly as well, reaching down through Virginia, see the Roanoke area, then continuing down through West Virginia, parts of southeastern Kentucky, southwestern Virginia, and of course here as we get into parts of East Tennessee as well. And even that level 3 stretching all the way down towards towards Birmingham, Atlanta, Augusta, Charlotte, and Raleigh, even Norfolk, Virginia, and then reaching further up towards northern Pennsylvania and parts of New York as well. That's going to bring a lot of those storms. You can really see the inflow of these systems. Oh, we're switching over to Max 1 for a bit, talking more about those thunderstorms. Well, again, city of Knoxville, you guys are getting blown up. Todd is zooming me into something. Tornado warning. That's going to be in parts of Greene and Washington County, moving in, including Greenville. So if you're in these places, but near Raytown, Tusculum, make sure you're heading into your safe space. This is a perfect time to be heading indoors if you're outside. Now you might want those pictures, those videos to send in. That's just not the most important thing right now. Make sure you're going to be heading indoors. That's going until 2:45 p.m. Lightning laden storm, extremely powerful. And if maybe, Todd, we can take a look at the velocity. I'm seeing maybe a little bit of a hook down here as you get to the north of Greenville. Yeah, that is exactly what that is. We're watching a bit of this hook, these bright reds and these bright greens starting to wrap around each other. That rotation that we're seeing as you get just north of Greenville, just north of Tusculum, south of 81. It's past the Mossheim area, but again, this bright red and this bright green, that rotation that we are going to be seeing, that counterclockwise rotation, and this storm is going to be continuing to move further off into the east towards Raytown. So again, you guys are going to be heading into that safe space. 67 miles per hour as we get north of that area, and still seeing more of that bright green as we get more of those inflowing winds, upwards of 70 miles per hour, likely continuing to get stronger. And we've got this great line of storms that's going to be moving right along with it as well. This is coming out of the Mossheim area into the north of Greenville, going to be including parts of Greene and Washington County. This is a fairly large polygon as well as it continues to make its way through, and that's mainly going to be because of the spread of these winds. You can even see it stretching down here between Greenville and Tusculum and all the way around as you make your way closer towards Bayleton and along Highway 81 and even around 70 as well. So if you happen to be outdoors, get into a building, any building that is going to be safe. If you're in a mobile home, find a building as well that is going to be somewhere that is sturdier for you to actually hold yourself down, get to that safe space that's going to be on a lower floor that doesn't have any windows, that's not going to be overly exposed. That's what you're going to be looking towards. So those storms you can see as they work their way in, the overall system and those winds seem to be moving off into the northeast, but the possible tornado itself seems to be taking a little bit more of a direct east or maybe even a bit of a southerly track as it moves past the Mossheim area. You see that kind of diverging from the rest of those winds. So again, Greenville, that's going to be moving directly over you guys. Tusculum, that's going to be moving in your direction as well. Raytown, even getting towards Sulphur Springs, Telford, Jonesboro. We don't know how long this is going to be stretching for, but again, this is going until about 42-45, if I remember that correctly. That's going to be for another about 25 minutes or so. So you're going to want to make sure you're getting into that safe space. We're watching that rotation, and we're seeing a little bit of a hook there. Well, there. We're seeing a little bit of a hook as the system continues. That lightning is loud. If you can't hear it through this microphone, you probably hear it outside of your own home. You're just going to want to make sure you're being safe. This is the hook that we're kind of watching right now. We're watching this bottom piece as you get past parts of Greenville, wrapping around. And so again, most of the rest of the storm is going to be further off into the northeast. We're right here sitting in this southwestern quarter of the storm where we are usually going to be watching for that tornado. You can even see behind it, it's a lot weaker. So a lot of this intensity is going to be in this bigger bubble right here. Again, going to be stretching all the way out just inside of Sulphur Springs. So if you're in Raytown, if you're in Tusculum, you're going to want to be heading into your safe space. So it might not seem like you're in the thick of things if you're in Tusculum because you have much lighter rain than some of the areas further to your north and to your west. But that is exactly why you are in sort of that bubble. You're in that zone. So if you're in Laughlin Memorial Center, Upchurch, Tusculum, Green Valley Mental Hospital, that's all going to be within about 10 minutes, the Green Valley area in particular. If you're near Chuckey Elementary School, I know we mentioned earlier a lot of schools were going to be letting out early. Hopefully you guys are home. If you have the kids, get home as quickly as possible. And if that's too far, get to a building that you can continue to be in your safe space. Again, that storm moving a little bit further to the east, even into the southeast. If you're Raytown, Dotsontown, Horse Creek, that's all going to be within about 20 minutes. If you're near the Davy Crockett School or near Limestone within the half hour. But even with that in mind, these storms are moving very quickly, especially when you get the possibility of that tornado strength, those wraparound winds that are going to be moving around that tornado, that could even be moving faster than what this is predicting. So if you're anywhere within the radius of this polygon, just head inside. You can see every time it pauses, so much lightning as it continues to make its way through. If you're close to Greenville Middle School, you're just outside that polygon, but I would even say still make your way inside. If you're by Sunnyside Elementary School, Chestnut Ridge High, the Horse Creek School, Mount Carmel School, a lot of schools. So I'm actually very thankful that you guys were able to let out a little bit early. Make sure you get home and get safe to your families because this is going to be approaching you guys within the next 10 to 20 minutes. If you're in Greenville, it's already sitting on top of you. Laughlin Memorial Hospital. If you're near that area, again, these storms are going to be sitting directly over you. We're watching this hook, this little opening right here that we're seeing as we get between Greenville and Tusculum moving forward. Again, if you're in the Green Valley area, Green Valley Mental Hospital, get inside, get downstairs, some kind of basement area. If you don't have a basement, a bathroom, somewhere that you can close, hide yourself in. There are no windows, no kind of glass that could smash its way through. The innermost and lowermost point of your home that you can find, whether that's a closet, whether that's a bathroom, some kind of storage area, that is going to be the best place for you to be sitting. So although it may seem like you have some of this weaker rain as you get into this area, this is where the danger zone is going to be, because we're watching this wrap around. We're watching this hook that's forming on the southeastern border of this system as it continues to move its way through. I'm hearing we have some trees down on I-40 in Roane County, so not near this tornado warning, but that even goes to show you we're still seeing a lot more of that powerful wind threat that we've been seeing, because if you were with me yesterday, I was talking a lot about that upper level support that we are seeing from the jet stream at 300 millibars. This is extremely high. We're watching that greater flow, and even further down in middle levels, we have shortwave systems that are backing up these powerful winds that are then pushing down into the area and affecting us here on the surface. So this greater line that's stretching from the farthest of upper East Tennessee, getting into parts of Washington and Unicoi and Greene County, even through Cocke, even through Jefferson and Hamlin County, then reaching down into the central northern valley. We're hitting Anderson County, Knox County, further off into Roane County, Loudoun County, basically everyone at this point that is not of lightning, a lot of thunder. So there you go, Todd. You think you're up next?
Yeah, we're all good. That's a very close lightning strike, probably at Edgewood Park, just right across about 100 yards away from us. Yeah, some intense lightning, as Tavian was just commenting. Yeah, these intense storms. We have that tornado warning east of Greenville now in Greene County. Definitely stay indoors here in Knoxville and Knox County. Again, you're looking behind me, a lot of lightning, some potential damaging winds. These are strong to severe storms. Severe storms means we could have winds in excess of 60 miles per hour. That could knock some trees down, create some power outages, and that's what we have been seeing in sporadic fashions, although decent coverage of some power outages from trees down along these line of storms. Here comes another one. Hang on. We're here. Our big green generator is kicked on whenever we have lightning that's nearby. We have a sensor that will go off, and actually the generator will kick in. It's kind of a cool thing, and it senses lightning that's nearby. So a lot of times, you know, that's what we're seeing. Only 800 customers without power right now in Knox County. Let's hope that holds up. We'll see. Thank you, Annie, back in the booth. Again, 800 customers without power in Knox County. Yeah, I see that tag. Let's see. Yeah, here's a good reminder. Is that from Kaylee or
yes,
Becca?
Kaylee.
Yeah, Kaylee. Yeah, reminder, folks, don't be up against the window looking at the storm, even though I know it's sometimes tempting to do that, because tree branches the winds are getting certainly picking up, intense winds. Tree branches can fall against the window pane and against the side of the house. You want to be away from outer walls and windows, in the center part of your house, away from the walls and windows because of these destructive winds. Do want to get more information. We've got severe thunderstorm warning. Let's see. This has got an extra special tag on it. I'm going to go ahead and read this out. This does include Knox County. We got potential 80-mile-per-hour winds. Tavian, if you'll get the velocity on max 2, and I'm going to continue to zoom on in. We got a tornado warning in Greenville and Greene County, so take over that. But you don't see this too often. Throwing a tag out by the National Weather Service of destructive winds around 80 miles per hour. Take shelter in a sturdy building, as we just mentioned, away from windows. Flying debris it can certainly be a problem for those in harm's way. So again, these storms, and I'm going to go ahead and show that as well. Here's what we're looking at. I'm going to pull up velocity. We are looking at the potential, again, for damaging winds in excess of 80 miles per hour. Let me go ahead and show you what we're looking at. Again, I'll zoom on in, and wow. Now that's aloft. Tavian, I'll let you drive that. I'm going to go wall, and we'll switch places. Max 1. Yeah, I believe we're there. Again, where you're seeing, and we're at the big monitor, we can go ahead and take that. Again, those are winds aloft, but this is why the National Weather Service, yeah, just go ahead and zoom on in, go back and forth looping, and we'll stay in Knoxville right now for a while here, Tavian, and loop it, and then stop it right there, just west of Knoxville. I don't know if we'll try to take our downtown Knoxville camera in a moment. Middlebrook Pike, Amherst, continuing just west of Knoxville, and again, there's Amherst Elementary, Norwood, coming into Sturkey Hills and again Cedar Lane area, getting ready to cross over Merchants Road. Yeah. This National Weather Service just upgraded the severe thunderstorm warning tag to do potentially destructive winds in excess of 80 miles per hour. So, again, these storms, they mean business, packing a punch. Again, severe thunderstorm winds, possibly in excess of 80 miles per hour. Yeah, there's the threat. When you see this, sometimes it'll say considerable. That means 70. Normal severe thunderstorm warnings are in excess of 60. But we've gone from 60 and 70 to potential 80 mile per hour destructive winds in Knoxville right now. And again, Sturkey Hills, Norwood, Pleasant Ridge, continuing into downtown Knoxville. Heads up Fountain City. Again, stay away from windows and outer walls. The storm's moving by pretty quickly. Not going to last long, but you need to go ahead and be away from those outer walls and windows. Center part of your home, small interior room like a bathroom, hallway, or closet. And again, just stay indoors. A lot of lightning. It's going to get loud and bumpy. High winds. Again, but stay out of harm's way, away from those windows. We have video coming in from Farragut. Go ahead and take it away, Annie. You can just roll it as it comes in, as we're in that mode now on our 10 Weather Impact Day. Okay, here's a look at, this is kind of that shelf cloud coming in, some darker clouds coming in. Thank you, Carrie, Marissa, and Farragut. And that's a look at the storm photo as those storms are rocking and rolling coming on in. Central High School, let's go back to radar. Again, we have potential significant winds. We'll get to radar in a moment. This is Jefferson City. You can hear that. By the way, we have heavy rainfall coming in here at North Knoxville, here above our station. This is what it looked like in Jefferson City. I believe some hail falling. We have had confirmed pea-sized hail. And this is a total side note internally to our folks here at Channel 10. We have this storm blowing out winds of the east, and that's coming into our garage door side. So you may want to go ahead and be checking the east side of our building. Again, that's for our folks here internally. Sometimes that happens. We get a little water coming into our studio, and I just looked over, and we have water coming into part of our studio. Just to communicating all kind of different information here. Right over there is when the winds blow on this side of the building. It happens. We'll get that taken care of. Anyway, here's a look at those strong to severe storms. Norwood, Fulton High School, Central High School, Ritta, Halls Elementary. Again, this is what we're looking at. Yeah, Taven, you can check outside. Don't get close to the window, but we're probably looking at destructive, damaging winds that are likely coming through Knoxville right now. And so, let's see. We're going to go back to, we're looking at the storms coming in again right now into our area. There's a look at the wider view again on Max 1. Thank you, guys. It's just on the side there coming in. And I'm going to go over to the chroma key wall. And again, if you're watching this, we're kind of multitasking here. Torrential rainfall and potential damaging winds, again, coming into Knoxville, North Knox County, Tavy and Whitehurst in the Weather Center. This is the line of storms. We're switching locations because water was coming in on the floor a little bit out of location, but our crew is already on it. Here's what we're looking at also, the tornado warning for Greene County that's moving out. That's going to be expiring shortly. Look at all the energy in the atmosphere. Again, several large clusters of storms. Tavian, if you will, we're going to move quick here because storms are moving quickly. Let's go Greenville, Knoxville, and down to Tellico Plains in that order, if you would, please. We'll start up here in Greenville area. Again, ongoing tornado warning. Greene County, Raytown, Tusculum until 2:45. That's 15 more minutes. It's moving quickly. If you're watching us in Raytown to Tufferness, is moving into eastern sections of Greene County. I'm going to hand it off to you folks up in the Tri-Cities market. Take it away. It's about to be in your area. That's going to move toward Johnson City and Gray here shortly. But eastern Greene County, possible tornado with rotation, even if it's not a tornado, right there, near and south of Raytown, has possible rotation. All right. Greene County, take cover, storms east of Greenville and Tusculum right now. Let's come on down the valley from Morristown back to Knoxville. Thank you, Tavian. And again, bear with us. We're just kind of moving on down the way. White Pine, Jefferson City, Dandridge, Douglas Lake, heavy rainfall. Let's come right into Knoxville. Here's the look at the line of potential damage and winds. Let's go ahead and show velocity here once again, Tavian. Thank you so much. As see the darker blues? This is what we're seeing. That's some intense winds. Now, a lot of that's aloft, but here's the issue. When you have heavy downpours of rain, then strong winds aloft, just off the Earth's surface, the heavy rain can transfer those strong winds down the surface. That's the concern. Doesn't mean we're seeing that, but we do have the potential for at least 70 to 80 mile per hour winds at the surface. Because just above our heads, by just 1,000 feet or so, maybe several hundred feet, we got this type of wind going on. These winds are occurring aloft. could be happening at the surface, and that will easily blow down some trees. So that's the concern. That's why we're on air right now, giving you the concern, giving you this information, and so that's a significant storm. So again, you need to just simply stay in your sturdy home or building, center part of your house. Wait for the storms to pass. They're moving quickly. Not going to be storming the whole time. They're loud, and it's pretty windy. Significant winds passing across North Knox County. Inside the 640 loop is where we're seeing some significant storms. So coming up near Adair Drive, again, working your way Tazewell Pike, again, continuing inside 640, as I mentioned. Rutledge Pike, heads up. So as you're coming, again, north and east of Knoxville, there's the latest scan. This updates in severe mode every 1 to 2 minutes. Where you see the darker blues, again, east 640, and continue to track off to what was Easttown Mall, Knoxville Central area, and Millertown Pike, again, continuing up Thorn Grove Pike, and a continuing Washington Pike, as I mentioned, up toward Three Ridges in that area, heading up into that area eventually, continuing to track in those areas. Just trying to mention some areas that could be impacted. And thank you, Tavian. That little settings button right up here, change that to very slow when you get a chance. Thank you so much. Here's what we're looking at. This storm, again, go ahead and sample the winds in that again, if you don't mind, Tavian. And again, these are mainly aloft, but we could be looking at some of these higher winds that will be tracking, continuing to track across northeast Knox County. So again, if you're watching us from Maloneyville, north of Mascot, south of Corrington, near there, Tazewell Pike, Millertown Pike. Again, heading up toward Three Ridges and 11E, 11W, we're continuing to see these storms. And look at that, Tavian's just sampling. All those are severe winds across much of that area. Let's see, getting reports of power out at the mall. I'm assuming that's Westtown Mall. Let's see, power outage map. We'll take power outages if we can in a moment. Kaylee Bowers, also Rebecca Sweet getting that information. Thank you, Becca. Look at that on my watch here of some power outages and potentially significant damaging winds. We'll get you that updated in just a moment. But again, in North Knox County, these are looking at some damaging winds. That's what we have right now, and you're looking at it as well as I am. Let's see, we've got power outages right now in Jefferson County. 5,300, thank you. At the bottom number is important. Okay, Granger County, just 371. You can keep going through that. Thank you, guys. Union, 289. Not too bad. Morgan, 696. Thank you, guys. Roan, 1,100. And Cumberland, whoa, that jumped, 7,300 in Cumberland County. So this is kind of expected. Storms move through first, and then the damage reports start coming in after the storms move in. So we're going to have to, we'll see the power outages, unfortunately, probably go up in the valley once the storms continue to move in, because it takes a half second or two to clock in. So again, continue to stay in your safe place, folks. Interior room, away from outer walls and windows, on the lowest floor, bathroom, hallway, or closet. If you're in the path of these severe storms with potentially destructive winds, up to 80 miles per hour possible, I want you to be in your safe place and take cover until the storms pass. The good news, storms have passed in Crossville, Wartburg, Huntsville, Jamestown, and they're moving east. So they'll soon be passing in Oak Ridge down toward Kingston, and are doing so now. Brittany, I'm going to send it over to you. I think you have much more details on the power outages, and thank you for your coverage today. Brittany, take it away.
Todd, thank you so much. We are, again, wanting to update you on the power outage that we're seeing right now. Take a look at your screen. That was just some school closings that we had earlier in case you have children or know people in those school districts that you have not heard from yet. Again, those are the school closings. We do want to show you some of the power outages. In Oak Ridge specifically, we are seeing some areas that are involved, including Montclair Road, Morningside Drive, Wyndham Road, the Preserve, Montana Avenue, and West Outer Drive. Those are some of the areas we're seeing with outages right now. Also, we're seeing outages in Claiborne and Campbell County. But taking a look at the KUB map now, we also know that there are about fewer than 1,000 customers without power in the KUB coverage area there right now. If you're looking at some specific areas that we're pulling up, you can see that specific area has 340 customers out. That's in the northeast area there. We also are now showing you another portion of outages. I can't quite see where that is. But again, overall, when it comes to the KUB coverage area, we are seeing fewer than 1,000 customers out. But of course, we'll keep this updated for you, including those in Oak Ridge we've been talking about as well. Now, we'll send things back over to Todd for more on these storms he's tracking.
Okay, Brittany, thank you so much. Just got a sip of liquid. And we're right here. Here's what we're looking at again. These strong to severe storms continuing to make their way east through the region. We do have, in addition to power outages, we have some more damage reports coming into the National Weather Service in Morristown. And again, you're taking a live look at what we're seeing right now as these storms are definitely packing a punch. We heard the heavy rain, windswept rains. Again, two main issues right now. Well, main issue is damaging winds up to 80 miles per hour in the valley, moving near and just east of Knoxville. That's going to continue to head toward Pigeon Forge, Dandridge, Morristown. You're already seeing these storms, but I tell you what, these are the significant storms that are continuing to track off to the east. Tavian, you got some info? Yeah.
Alcoa power plant lost power. They got struck by lightning.
Alcoa power plant lost power. Is that right? That's not a zip code. 37, it's 37701. Sorry for that, but over 3,700. That's not a joke. That's serious. Without power, they were struck by lightning. Alcoa power plant without power. The power plant in Alcoa without power, struck by lightning. Over 3,700 customers or people in that area without power. So that's significant in Alcoa. Thank you, Tavian, for that report. I'm going to send it over to you in a second, too, for more of those storm damage reports. But Tavian Whitehurst just relaying that. Gosh, that's another factor. We got the damaging winds. I was in the process of saying that's the main issue. Heavy rain, possible flooding. The lightning is intense. We heard that near us just a moment ago. So there's a lot of energy in the atmosphere. It's driven by these really strong winds aloft. And some of those winds are transferring down the surface, and it's got a lot of rising motion in the atmosphere, creating all this energy. So, Tavian, let's do this real quick. And Brittany, I'll have you and Annie in the back. I think if y'all want to work on the Alcoa issue with a lot of people without power, great. Just let me know when we need to do an update on that, and I'll send it back to you. Tavian, if you don't mind, let's stay on top of these storms because there's still significant and possibly destructive winds now moving into East Knox County. Let's go ahead and zoom on in. This main cluster of storms right here, a lot of lightning. Again, moving east of Knoxville now, and where you see the darker red colors. Okay, let's go ahead and stop the rate. That's perfect, Tavian, right there. Yep, you and I are on the same page, looking at the same thing. Okay, now go ahead and stop it, and let's talk about Kodak and Seymour, Boyd's Creek Road area, and Sevierville. Yeah, go ahead and stop that. We'll get the latest image. Thank you. Yeah, we're seeing that notch, that inflow right here, and potentially destructive winds. And so we'll sample coming out of Knox, Blunt, into Severe County. Take it away, Annie. We got a live picture that we're going to show you coming up, and of Douglas Lake. Okay, yeah, so we got the strong storm, the heavy rain that's coming across Douglas Lake. And Tavian, I know I'm asking a lot, my friend. If you can, while we're looking at this view, if you will hop over, we may already have it up. Do we have our Parkway camera in Sevierville? I'll give you all a second to show that. We'll show that in a moment, whenever we get it ready. No hurry. But this is a live look at Douglas Lake in Dandridge. As the storms, you've gotten hit by multiple storms coming through there, and so that's what we're looking at. Okay, Sevierville camera's frozen. Yeah, that happens when it's significant weather. It'll come back up every now and then, but we are looking at these strong storms. Let's come back to radar. Yeah, but that is a live look at Douglas Lake. Thank you, Annie, of those storms tracking through. Right now, Seymour coming out of Blount County into Severe County, heading toward Kodak. Again, this is where we have potentially damaging winds, around 80 miles per hour. National Weather Service relaying that information of what we're seeing across our region. So that's what we're looking at, potential. Severe Thunderstorm Warning, I believe this is a brand new one for Blount County until 3:45. So we have, and Tavian, I'll let you put that back up if you don't mind, my friend. Thank you. We'll widen back out a little bit, but that new warning is for Blount County. I believe that's going to take us into Severe County, parts of, well, everybody, but Knox and Jefferson counties. Yeah, this is the warning right here, the most recent one. Again, the rest of East Tennessee, yeah, bear with us if we're not covering your area just yet. We're focusing on the hardest, most impacted area right now that what we see is coming from basically Jefferson City, Strawberry Plains, Seymour, Dandridge, and Sevierville. We know you're getting the storms further south in Blount County, Loudoun County, Greenback, Monroe County, certainly. We want all of you to take cover as this whole line of storms is impacting most all of the valley. But this is the main area right now. Thank you, Tavian, for that storm track right there. Pigeon Forge, 3 minutes, which right now. So go ahead and move into your safe place. Small interior room, center part of your house, away from outer walls and windows. Again, you put as many walls between you and outside as you can. So you'll be in the center part of your house, small room, closet, hallway, bathroom. Again, and it's always a good place to know where your safe place is as anytime storms approach and moving in. So center part of the home, your house, lowest floor. So downstairs, not upstairs. Basement's the best place to be. Underneath the stairwell, like a pantry, etc., and is a good place to be. It's always good to know where you go when storms hit, because you can go there. A lot of times storms are quick. Just as quick as they move in, they move out. And you'll be safe and out of harm's way, and wait for the storms to pass. And they're going to pass through pretty quickly. But you need to be in your safe place from Jefferson City, Dandridge, down towards Seymour, Pigeon Forge, Hatchertown. So these are the communities that will continue to be impacted. Pigeon Forge now 2 minutes. Again, storms moving. Baileytown 7 minutes. Cartertown 9 minutes, Newport 12 minutes, Pittman Center about 14 minutes from right now, and Hartford and Knox County about 28 minutes from right now. We have multiple severe thunderstorm warnings. Now here we are at 2:42. So we were showing our high-res model. We'll try to get to that in a moment as well, but just for saving time purposes, because we're tracking these significant severe storms, most of the storms are going to be out of here by or before 4 p.m., 4 to 5, if not before. So we're talking about just maybe another hour or two for significant severe weather possible. And then after that, we're going to be in much better shape. So by later this afternoon, these storms are going to move through. And again, but high-res model did a pretty good job, honestly, with the timing. It was doing pretty good on this timing of showing it generally between that 1 to 3 p.m. So that's what we've been seeing as these storms tracking across. Notice, and again, you can see this little bowing nature right here. You hold it right there a second, Tavian. That's the strong destructive winds. I'll get on this side, if you will. Picture if we're up in the atmosphere, what's causing this line right here to bow out? Strong winds. Bowing that line out right there. That's what we call a bowing line segment, and that's where you have a bowing segment of destructive winds possible. There's only one thing that's making it bow out like that. Ordinarily, you just have a straight up and down line, right? Well, when it bows out, I kind of take my hand and bow it out like that, right? Instead of like that, it's bowing out. Those are strong winds aloft coming from top down to the surface, right like that. So from Jefferson, Sevier County, back into Blount County, Wares Valley, Townsend, Sevierville, Pigeon Forge, Seymour, Boyd's Creek, Kodak, all areas in between, and up toward Jefferson City, Newmarket, and Talbot. That's what we're looking at. Knoxville, it looks like the strongest line of storms is through our area. And the strongest line of storms now in Dandridge to Pigeon Forge. Also, Morristown and Greenville and Newport take cover from those storms. We have an update on power outages with Brittany Bailey at the news desk in the studio. I've moved over to the small studio here. And by the way, guys doing a great job getting the water cleaned up. That's what happens when storms hit. All hands on deck. Thank you, gentlemen, and thank you, everybody. Brittany Bailey, I'll send it over to you for the latest on power outages.
Thank you so much, Todd. And speaking of all hands on deck, I'm told it's safe for you to come back over here into the studio if you'd like. Meanwhile, we want to get you updated on those power outages we've been talking about. Now, take a look at Cumberland County, and we should let you know in several counties, we're going to go through them. We've certainly seen a significant increase in these outages. But again, taking a look at your screen there, now you see in Cumberland County, more than 7,300 customers are out of power there. We're also seeing in Morgan County, around 700, not quite there. Taking a look now in Roane County, more than 1,000 customers out of power at this hour. In Loudoun, more than 1,500 customers without power. In Monroe County, around 850 customers without power. And then this is where we're seeing that big increase. Take a look at Blount County now. More than 3,000 customers without power here at 2:45 on Monday afternoon as these storms roll through our area. And then in Knox County, you see more than 5,700 customers without power. Certainly not a surprise given what we've seen coming through our area. And checking Union County there, not quite 300 customers. We do also want to let you know that in Cumberland County, that's where we're seeing significant outages. 7,300 folks without power. There you see it there at this hour because of those severe storms we've been seeing. So we've seen some counties go up and some go down throughout the afternoon as we've watched these storms come through. We'll keep an eye on these outages. And also another reminder for you that if you do have pictures and video of what you're seeing outside and it's safe to do so,
please send them our way. We certainly have enjoyed seeing those and being able to share what people are seeing outside this window when we track this on the radar. Speaking of that, we want to send things back now to Chief Meteorologist Todd Howe for more on tracking these storms. Todd?
So much, yeah, tracking the outages, the storms, the significant weather across East Tennessee. Brittany Bailey live in our studio. Thank you so much. Tavian Whitehurst in our Channel 10 Weather Center. Tavian, I'm going to send it over to you to talk about all this. Yeah, we're seeing these storm reports adding up now. You've been here throughout midday along with Rebecca Sweet. Kaylee Bowers also tracking these storms and keeping you updated on social. So, Tavian, thank you for your hard work. I'll send it over to you to talk more about these storm reports.
Thank you very much, Todd. I mean, things are just getting very messy around the area as we continue to watch this line of storms move through. It is unfortunately, but expectedly leaving a bit of a wake of destruction in its path, mainly so far being power outages and trees down. That's a lot of the reports that I'm seeing right now. We can take those graphics full screen. We are now seeing trees down in areas like Clark Range, Caryville, and Farragut, Riceville. We're seeing trees down and power lines down. So that is going to be part of the reason that we are seeing so many power outages throughout the area, as well as lightning strikes we were seeing at the Ocoa power plant. You look further out into the west. I had only clicked maybe, about 4 different reports through much of the area. We look further out into the west towards Ray County, Dayton, there's a large tree down. You look out into Cumberland County, right here in the city of Crossville. Let's see, over 4,000 customers without power, and mainly in parts of western Cumberland County as well. There's really just a lot to look at. We are seeing a lot of trees that are causing a lot of damage in people's neighborhoods, on streets. We're seeing power lines down. It looks like as we get into Jefferson County, we are seeing a hail report as well. That's going to be for 0.3-inch hail. That's a pretty decent size right there. Usually we are seeing hail up to 1/4 inch, so that's going to be quarter-sized hail, which is 1 inch in diameter, the size of a quarter coin. So we're seeing a lot more of those hail reports throughout the area. We haven't seen too many of those hail signatures. They've been generally getting overpowered by a lot of the lightning and a lot of the storms that are moving into the area, possibly melting before they make it fully down into the surface. But we click a few more of those storm reports. We look further out into Pikeville, more of those trees down, power lines down, county-wide. You look further out past Cumberland County in Sparta, again, several trees down at Skyline Drive and Redbud Trail. So definitely not a good time to be outside. If you're in your safe place, great. Definitely stay there for the time being. If anything, I'll take a moment and kind of look back at the radar and see where we have this general line of storms. Still, we're now seeing more of a focus on the eastern half of our area. Oh, let's see. It looks like we may have switched over to Max 2 at some point, so I'll switch over to our radar really quick, and you can see here that we have this still huge line of storms. That might be a new severe thunderstorm warning. There was one little piece here that we were watching along the line of storms that was sitting just further off into the north. That was moving through parts of Scott and Campbell County. That continues to be moving its way off. That's going until 3:30, so another, about 40 minutes or so. Campbell, Claiborne, Granger, and Union counties. I'll zoom back into that again. We're seeing that here just in the Maynardville area. As we were watching these systems slowly push their way off into the southwest, we were watching this one little end piece that was continuing to inch its way further off into the northeast. So that was moving through parts of Scott County, through Campbell County, and now we have that severe thunderstorm warning going again until 3:30 for Campbell, Claiborne, Granger, and Union County. So right now we're seeing the storm sit over Sharps Chapel, Maynardville, Speedwell. You guys are going to be seeing the storm in maybe these next couple of minutes. Big Barron as well. You're also going to be seeing this in the next couple of minutes. We have some new video in Knoxville, so we can go ahead and play that really quick. Oh, goodness gracious. Okay, that tree is down. Timber. So, again, all the more reason, while this is a great video, maybe not the best idea to be by the window because who knows what direction that tree could have fallen in. If we have any other branches that could be flying throughout the area, that is some kind of dangerous. That is in the West Knoxville area. So, we did have those trees down that were in the Farragut area, so that is sitting right along that line of storms. And honestly, we can take a second to move over into that region as well because we are seeing, again, still more of those powerful storms. As we look further into West Knoxville, you guys are finally seeing a bit of a calm after the storm. That greater line moving now into the foothills, getting closer into the mountainous areas. It looks like Farragut and part of West Knox County they are still under that warning for another 10 minutes or so, but we are seeing a lot more of that lighter to moderate rain, not as much of that lightning. We may still be seeing a lot of those gusty winds, so let me actually switch over into the velocity, and that we definitely are. We're seeing a lot of this light blue, which means winds getting upwards into the 60s, 65 miles per hour as you get into that area. Now, a lot of those winds could be here in the surface. Some of that could be winds aloft as well that are being pushed down by some of that higher accelerated wind that we're seeing in the higher elevations. But through parts of West Knox County, getting into Loudoun County, we're seeing those gustier winds. It looks like we got a live picture on the parkway. If we can pull that up really quick. Our cameras have been somewhat in and out because of the aggressiveness of the storms that we've been seeing. If you guys can pull it up, I think I can grab it in just a second. Let's see here. So our cameras have been kind of in and out because there we go. We got a live picture of the parkway, and it looks like hopefully that was not an accident. I am seeing a lot of flashing lights, a lot of red and blue. Traffic is very, very slow. We are seeing a bit of that buildup as you get into the light. Continue to just take your time if you're out there on the road. It is definitely continuing to be a very unsafe condition, so you want to make sure you're driving carefully. If you do see an accident, make sure they are pulled off. Maybe if there's a time period to make sure everybody's safe. Looks like there is some movement, so hopefully conditions are going to be improving in that area.
Hey, Taven, good point. No, keep going, man. Good point. Just to interject real quick, I don't know if power's out. So, I don't know if something hit a power pole over there. Don't see much. Yeah. I see a couple lights over there, but you know, I don't know if power could be out. That little stretch.
We can actually take a look really quick, see if we can move the camera.
Yeah, we can maybe. Although traffic lights look like they're up, so. But yeah, there's some type of
traffic lights, and there may even be an officer
accident
or
something on the side over there.
Okay, we're going to be taking up a live picture of Douglas Lake, and still pretty similar conditions. We got a lot of that gray, that rainfall, that cloud cover. You can see there, if you look at the bottom of the screen, those winds continuing to push that rainfall and a lot of that wind itself through. There's a lot of moving air. I mean, it honestly looks like a foggy morning with just the way that we have that rain and that cloud cover sitting over directly into the area. Unfortunately, there is, what are we seeing there?
Did the camera fall?
Did the camera? Is that flooding? Okay, so all the more reason to just make sure you're inside. We have some very dangerous conditions. It looks like that kind of fell over onto the sidewalk where we were able to see some pretty aggressive floodwaters, it seemed like, as we were passing into the sidewalk. So all the more reason to talk a little bit more about that flooding because, you know, why not? So if you take a look at some of the observed rainfall that we've been seeing over these past couple of minutes, you can take that out to look over the entire region. And we're seeing, again, if you look over the northern counties as we get over from parts of Fentress all the way over into parts of Hamlin and Jefferson County, you see a lot of those heavier rainbouts in this yellow getting upwards of 3 inches. You look north of Dandridge, again, another 2.5 inches. You look just south of Huntsville, getting into parts of Scott County. We see a lot more of those 2-inch to 3-inch rainfall bits that we're getting throughout much of the area. Looks like we're on max 2 for right now, so we're going to kind of move that out. And when you see some more of that rainfall, we're watching that greater line now moving from the Central Valley into the mountains of the hills. So if you're in the valley right now along that I-75 corridor, continuing your way up into parts of Scott and Campbell County, you are seeing some calmer conditions, some much more general, lighter rain. You guys are going to be in the clear for a while, and that line continuing to make its way towards the Tennessee, North Carolina, and towards parts of Upper East Tennessee. That's where we're seeing a lot of our severe thunderstorm warnings at this point. Going to send it over to Todd. Todd, what are you seeing at this point?
Just getting a report. Thank you from a church friend of mine saying Hardin Valley, the power just went out. That was, that was about, sorry, I'm just now seeing that. Thank you, my friend. That was about 30 minutes ago. My wife says the wind is intense. We know that. Thank you, Lee. And severe thunderstorm warning for Blount County and others now till 3:15. That will continue for about 20 more minutes. New warnings popping back up. Taven, I'll let you reset. We'll look at, thank you, right there. Look at radar. Again, boy, did you, when Taven was, you saw that video of the tree coming down in, I believe it was Farragut, and wow. That's why we stay away from the windows and away from those outer walls, because these winds, I mean, that was happening. That's the concern. When you get winds, there's a reason 60 mile per hour or higher winds are considered severe, because once you get winds of 60, 70, 80 miles per hour, those are the type winds that can blow trees over. It's that simple. Again, it's objective measures, not a subjective thing. It's an objective, concrete thing. So you get high enough winds, and yeah, trees are going to be pushed over. So that's the concern. Dandridge, Douglas Lake. That was the other video. Did you see that a moment ago as Tavian was talking about it? Yeah, that was a live view. I'm not even sure where that camera view is coming from, or if somebody just happened to set it up and send it to us. But hopefully they're okay, because we saw another tree branch or camera or something maybe toppled over or something. Hopefully everybody's good. But we were watching a live view from Douglas Lake and Dandridge area. And that's happening right there. Some significant heavy rain and significant windswept rain. So Dandridge, Newport, again, Bybee, Parrottsville, Jefferson County, Cock County, Sevier County, Sevierville, Pigeon Forge, Harrisburg, Gatlinburg, Pittman Center, really some intense winds. And again, this is what we're looking at. Thank you, Tavian, with that track. So Bainbury, again, far eastern sections of Jefferson County, 4 minutes from right now. Newport, 11 minutes. English Mountain area, Dandridge, Douglas Lake. If you're watching us in around the Douglas Lake area, you definitely want to be in your safe place and away from the outer walls and windows. This is a line of significant, maybe some destructive winds with trees down and power outages, unfortunately, that are accompanying. One other quick, so these are the communities, take cover. Quick report and update on the Alcoa power plant that was struck by lightning and knocked some 37,000 customers, without power, specifically. Okay, hold on. I know Alcoa power plant that was struck by lightning had customers knocked out without power. We got an update. They're working on that, and we'll continue to bring you update on that. 2,900 customers without power, specifically there. And I apologize, an error on my part from an earlier report. That was the zip code. Apologize. That's what came through on the text, and I just read it out loud. So 2,900 customers without power, and the Alcoa power plant was struck by lightning. Hopefully everybody is okay. They're working on it, and they're aware of the situation, obviously, and we'll continue to keep you updated on that in Alcoa. Andy Carr, thank you in the booth for giving me that correct, updated info. So 2,900 customers without power there. Here's what we're looking at, again, from Maryville, Pigeon Forge, Gatlinburg. Let's go ahead and focus on the eastern areas as this line of strong to severe storms is continuing to plow eastward, and from Dandridge to Gatlinburg, heading toward Hartford, Cosby, Newport, Del Rio, up toward Bybee and Parrottsville. So again, from Jefferson down into Sevier, up toward Cock, Hamlin counties, and back into Greene counties. Greenville, you had a tornado warning earlier that quickly zipped on through, but Greene County, you'll be seeing more of these storms head in your direction. Thank you very much, Tavian, so we can see this a little bit better. Morristown, Jefferson City, here's Mohawk into Greene County and Greenville, Tusculum, Camp Creek, Horse Creek. Those winds are really going to be whipping up already, probably right now, right? Yep, you probably confirmed that. All along Highway 321, so Del Rio, Cosby, Hartford, and continuing Pittman Center to Gatlinburg. Again, we are still seeing some of these elevated winds. Yeah, go ahead and sample some of those as you will. Tavian, thank you so much. Not quite as high of winds on the front edge as what we were seeing earlier. And again, it is closer to the radar. Some of the winds that we were seeing, the stronger winds, were aloft, but some of those, no doubt, were being transferred down the surface. But still looking at potentially severe winds as they're making their way through the region. Where you saw those brighter pink colors, that was likely still some pockets of severe thunderstorm winds. So that's what we're looking at. Again, Dandridge, White Pine, Newport, as I mentioned, Jefferson, Cock, down into Sevier counties, including the Gatlinburg, Pittman Center, up to Harrisburg in rural northeastern and eastern Sevier County, and along Highway 411, Highway 73, and again, continuing to make its way along Interstate 40 and in Cock County coming into North Carolina. You really got to slow it down, of course, driving through the mountains. A lot of water on the roadway. Another whole separate cluster of thunderstorms is making its way from Mohawk and south of Mohawk and Mossheim, I should say, and continuing to head toward Greenville and Tusculum, right along Highway 321. There's Parrottsville, again, north of there, Bybee, south of there, Del Rio, and from Cock County into Greene County, and just north of Hot Springs in North Carolina, tracking from Cock into Greene County. So significant storms are continuing. Let's take another velocity vantage point just west of Newport, if you will, in a moment there, Tavian. Thank you so much. Newport, definitely want to take cover because we're seeing a core of some pretty strong winds, some very heavy rainfall that's going to be moving. See these bowing out? Yeah, let's go ahead and do another velocity scan west of Newport right there and south of White Pine. So yeah, there's potentially some higher winds near and just north of Newport between there and Morristown and White Pine, 66-mile-per-hour winds. Okay, so greater than 60 severe, and again, could be looking at still some elevated high winds. We have reports of power lines down across Knoxville. Thank you, Annie. That's from is KUB, is that correct? KFD, sorry, thank you, Annie. From KFD, from Knoxville Fire Department, reports of power lines down across Knoxville, specifically Knoxville Fire Department coming in with that report. Thank you so much. There's the, wow, okay, that's interesting. At the official observation station at Knoxville's McGee-Tyson Airport, 60-mile-per-hour winds. That's at the ASOS station. That's where we get our official records, at McGee-Tyson Airport. So that, yeah, there's a confirmation there. Farragut, tree and roof damage in the neighborhoods north and south of I-40 and along level road. So I'm assuming, you know, your Campbell Station Road corridor that's taking you from Hardin Valley into Farragut and Thompson Bridge Road as well, and continuing level road, seeing some damage. We have some more video. Wow. Okay, this is Cedar Bluff at Middlebrook. This is some video just coming into our newsroom. You see fire crews on the scene there. Now here's the issue with this. I know some folks are walking around. That's a lot of trees and branches down, et cetera, and could have power lines down. Whenever a storm moves through, and there's a lot of trees down, there's power lines down, that is not the time to go outside and be walking around. You got to wait for emergency officials to be on scene to make sure power has been cut off. You don't want to be outside walking around if there's any lines down. You probably already know that, but just to be on the safe side, you don't want to be outside walking around. Again, stay inside, wait for crews to get on scene, and make sure you're in good shape. All right, that is video. Wow, let's all look at this together. This is from Jacksboro, Earl Ayers, and this is that storms moved through earlier. Now take a look at that. It's moving from right to left, screen right to screen left. That's a look at that. It's basically that intense squall line of storms, or at least those thunderstorm winds. And watch how it blows in here. I don't know. I'm seeing this for the first time as well. I'm saying, you know, everything's going to get shrouded there, and there we go. Thank you. And this is West Knoxville. Watch this. Tree down. Now this person's in the kitchen, looks like. Not too close to that window. Thank you for getting the video safely for us. But that's an example. Look at that. Those winds came down. I don't know what type of tree that is. You know, Bradford pears, if it's a pear tree, you know, those can easily split. Of course, they have a lifespan about 15 years or less. But yeah, that's a live view of trees just being blown down right there. That was in Farragut. The prior video was in Jacksboro with that line of storms moving through. This is current wind speeds that are wow, we still have some elevated high wind speeds in Knox County, even after storms continuing to go on through. So this is a strong upper level trough that's moving through that, you know what, Becca Sweet, Tavian Whitehurst with me now, and Kaylee Bowers watching. We were all kind of talking about one of the things we thought may help just slightly is the earlier arrival and before we got to peak heating. So we've had some decent storm damage and power outages as it is, even with a little bit of earlier arrival. Imagine what it'd be if it happened a little bit later with peak heating. So there's that. So we are looking at, again, those higher wind speeds still being tracked across the region. Let's go back to radar and update everyone and kind of do a reset, if you will, Tavian. Just after 3 p.m. on this Monday, it's been an active day. We now have a flood advisory. I believe that's in place for Knoxville and Knox County. We'll look at that in a moment. But let's keep it right here for a second. The big view, storms have cleared you on the plateau. And again, the expectation is storms to continue to be out of here by probably 4 or maybe 5 p.m. But over the next hour, maybe hour and a half or so, pretty much right what our Futurecast, the timeline did pretty good on the timing of that. It's kind of showing that 1 to 3 p.m. and then after 3, 4, 5 p.m. they'd be out of here. So storms are making the way through the Central Valley into now the eastern half of East Tennessee. You're getting these significant storms in Greene County, Greenville, Tusculum. Wow. Annie, to make sure I get it right, I'm going to have you say that one more time. That's what I thought. Thank you, Annie. 56,000 customers without power in Knox County. That's 25% of customers with power, available customers with power. 25% of KUB customers in Knox County without power. 56,000 customers without power in Knox County. This was kind of the concern, and we were talking about this a moment ago when we saw that spike and Brittany Bailey reported the 7,300 in Cumberland County. It took a while for the storms to blow through, and then you see the storm reports. Unfortunately, wow, that took it up several notches. 56,000 customers without power just being reported at KUB, and about 25% of the available customers without power. So that's significant. certainly, that's an understatement, as storms move through the valley. More strong severe storms now. They're pushing into the mountains, heads up from Tellico Plains, Coker Creek, City Cove Beach, Tallahassee, and obviously Townsend and Cades Cove area, and Gatlinburg, Pittman Center. You're seeing these severe storms. Newport, Cosby, Hartford, Del Rio, Camp Creek, Horse Creek, Greenville, Tusculum, and Parrottsville. If I mention your area or you live near or in between any of those communities, especially in Knox County and Greene County, you certainly need to be prepared to be in your safe place. Again, lowest floor of your sturdy home or building, away from those outer walls and windows. And folks, one of the main reasons we're staying online is to bring you the updated information, because we've already had storms producing damage, and you yourself have seen the video of the trees, right, falling. So, you know, we're simply relaying and conveying the information that's happening now and what's already occurred. That's the flag in the atmosphere. We're seeing some more damage as possible as these storms track eastward. Hang in there. They're going to be out of here after another 1 to 2 hours, and we'll have improving weather, good school day weather tomorrow. For right now, though, Brittany, I'll send it over to you.
All right, Todd, thank you so much, and thanks so much for keeping us updated on all of this severe weather. As you can imagine, it is causing a few problems on the road. We're hearing about a tree down on Western Avenue. Take a look here from our TDOT SmartWay camera. You can see the road crew on the side of the road clearing that up. Thankfully, it looks like some traffic is still able to move along beside it, but it looks like a fairly large tree that they're going to have to take a few moments to figure out how to get off the roadway. I'm not sure that they have a tree chipper with them or anything like that, so it might take a few moments for them to get that under control. So if you were headed out in that direction, again, at I-40 at Western Avenue this afternoon, you can see some branches are being pulled away. Now, you may want to avoid that area. And this is not the only tree we have seen down in the area. Of course, you've heard Todd and Tavian, and before that, also Rebecca, talk about the strong winds that we've been seeing. Certainly, that has led to all of these trees down that we've been reporting to you and showing you. We also saw some off Middlebrook Pike that we showed you earlier as well, some video of that. We'll definitely keep an eye on that, but certainly that's something you should be aware of if you're heading out and about this afternoon. We heard from TDOT online that if you can avoid being out on the roads altogether, that probably is your best option. Earlier, we were also seeing some standing water on the roadways. In this particular area, you can see the roadways are wet. We don't see much when it comes to the standing water, so that's at least good news. Of course, the other thing we've been talking about a lot this afternoon is the power outages that we've been seeing. We saw a high of 7,300 or so in Cumberland County, but that quickly shifted to Knox County. At last check, more than 50,000 customers were without power this afternoon. So a reminder, if that is the case for you, you can always stay up to date with us on our free WBIR app. You can download that from your app store, again, for free. And that's a great resource to have in your hand if you are without power this afternoon and you want to keep updated on these storms. Of course, our weather team will be keeping us updated moment by moment as these new alerts come through. And speaking of that, we want to send things back to Chief Meteorologist Todd Howell, who has an update for us now. Todd?
Weather afternoon on this Monday. Let's bring you the latest updated information. Again, getting more reports of the damage, the power outages. Kaylee Bowers hard at work, seeing lots of viewer photos and videos of debris. Seeing that reported along the interstate from the wind damage. We have also, not only the wind damage, the heavy rain has led to flooding. We have a new flash flood warning that will be in place for about just under 2.5 more hours until 5:30 early this evening for Greenville, Newport, Parrottsville, and Tusculum. Now, this is in concert, in combination with a couple things. You've already been hit by storms earlier, and more heavy rain is moving into the same areas, and so the ground is saturated. And actually, if you go back the last couple of weeks, you've had decent rain and thunderstorms, so the soil is more saturated. You take that taken into account when we look at flash flooding guidance, and the National Weather Service in Morristown right on top of that. So again, Cock, Greene, and I forget the other county. It's probably Severe. Looking at that flash flood warning right there, that will be in place until 5:30. It was Hamblin. Thank you, Tavian. Cock, Greene, and Hamblin again, and the communities. Flash flood warning. Look at the rainfall. Again, this will continue to grow north of Newport, northwest of Parrottsville, and heading toward Tusculum and along Highway 321, just north of there, near White Pine in Jefferson County. 3.9, 2.8. So basically nearly 3 to almost 4 inches of rain from this system. And if you go back, if you go back to the latter part of July and early August, Yeah, you've seen quite a bit of rainfall in these areas. 3.3, 2.5 near Jefferson City, north of Dandridge. So this has been a corridor, and you can see that extends back toward Corrington, Maynardville. So this is what we call training. Thank you, Tavian. This is what we call training. This clusters of storms repeatedly moving over the same area: Sharps Chapel, Corrington, Jefferson City, Dandridge, Newport, and Greenville, kind of moving in waves like that, if you will. Rocky Top, Norris, Andersonville, 3 inches. So look at that. That's a common feature along this corridor of heavy rain and storms. Heavy rain drop being also in Knoxville. I believe we have a flood advisory and continuing for Central Valley, including Knoxville. So I'll try to bring that up and we'll give you information on that as well. But again, flash flood warning for Greenville, Greene County. Also that flash flood advisory for White Pine and Morristown areas as well. And there's Bainbury, Dandridge, Jefferson City, and Newmarket. A separate flash flood warning, thank you, Tavian, that's in place until 4:15. So again, all along these areas, now we've had a 1-2 punch: damage winds, flooding, and significant severe weather systems a lot of times bring you that. The leading edge has damage and winds. Behind it, you have potential flooding. So that's a look at the flooding. Avoid flooded roadways. Of course, now is not a good time to be out and about driving, and it's certainly better to stay in your safe place. Again, weather's going to be improving by this evening, but it may take a while for the water levels to go down. Thank you, Tavian. There's the flood advisory, another one for Cott, Greene, and Unicoi counties. Let's zoom on into Knoxville. And as we talk about as well, Tavian, thank you, seeing some of these, the flood advisory until 4:30 as well. As you can see, Anderson, Blount, Jefferson, Knox counties, flood advisory, including Farragut, Carnes, Knoxville, and Mascot, again, until 4:30. So we've got high water, some flooding. When it's a flood advisory, that's typically for the smaller creeks and streams, more your street flooding, more of the minor flooding issues, but a lot of that is your smaller creeks, streams that have overflowed their banks. And again, the ditches swollen with water, high water in places, the usual flood spots are flooded. Now, that's a flood advisory. The next level up is a flash flood warning. So when there's a warning, it's a little bit more of a stronger wording and verbiage for more significant flooding. So when there's a warning, greater chance for more flooding. Advisory, we've at least got some minor flooding, but not a good time to be out on the roadways. Stay indoors until the weather improves, and that's what we're looking at for the flash flood warning until 4:15, as more heavy rains have occurred from Cott, Granger, Hamblin, and into Jefferson counties. Okay, let's reset with the radar picture. Storms continuing to track on through. We're coming into the 3:15 hour right now. We will have a full update on 10 About Town coming up at 4 p.m. Get you caught up on all the latest news today. It's been an active weather day, certainly. This is a replay. Storms have cleared the plateau. They're clearing in the Central Valley now, but they are still ongoing for the Northern Valley, Upper East Tennessee, down into the mountains and foothills, and now they're pressing into North Carolina. And where you see the yellow boxes and polygons, those are individual severe thunderstorm warnings. So for the whole line, and again, this was the expectation as we transitioned from some spotty separate storms into a congealed linear line that had organized damage and winds. That was the expectation. So, we're kind of seeing that play out from East Tennessee into western North Carolina, unfortunately. And so due to high winds aloft, unseasonably strong upper level trough for August, a lot of times you see this more in the spring or fall. And so not in August. Some colder air aloft actually coming down the Great Lakes, and it is working with a very humid air mass and a lot of wind energy kind of motivating the atmosphere, the air to rise in the atmosphere, and that's why we're seeing some of these strong to severe thunderstorms. Damage winds have been the main threat. We have had a few tornado warnings, and again, but whether it's severe thunderstorm or an isolated tornado, we've had the damage and winds embedded all up and down this line. All right, we have some breaking news with Brittany Bailey. Brittany, I'll send it over to you now.
All right, thanks so much, Todd. This is breaking news from Knoxville Fire. As you can see here, firefighters are on the scene of Fountain View and Sanders Drive for a gas leak. That is due to a tree down. You're being asked to avoid the area. And again, we are seeing a huge problem with trees down across our area, certainly because of those high winds we've been seeing. We do have a crew on the way again there to Fountain View and Sanders Drive for a gas leak because of a tree down. If you are in the area, definitely please avoid that area. And just a reminder, we also saw a tree down on Western Avenue at I-40 and Western, so if you can avoid that area. Also, we're seeing many problems in the Middlebrook Pike area. So just be very, very aware as you're heading out and about. There could be trees down in places you don't expect because we are seeing significant high winds and also power outages due to that. We want to send things over now to meteorologist Tavian Whitehurst, who has another update about what he's tracking this afternoon. Tavian?
Thank you very much, Brady. You were just talking about the winds, trees down, so I figured it'd be a good opportunity to take a look again at the velocity that we're seeing through the area. I'll zoom it out just a little bit more to let you guys see a bit more of what I am seeing. We're now watching a lot more of those gustier winds move out of the valley, and we're seeing more of that focus as it moves further into parts of upper East Tennessee and over the line towards North Carolina as well. So those winds are going to start to slow down as you move further into the valley. You see along I-40 and further down south along I-75, we get a lot more of those calmer conditions. Still a couple of spottier, gustier winds could be getting upwards of 60 miles per hour, but you are seeing the general mass of that storm and windstorm coming along with it going to be starting to move its way further off into the east. So taking it in over here, I've been seeing wind gusts getting upwards of 70 miles per hour as you get into parts of Greene County, between Cobb County as well. As we look towards the eastern side of Knox County, we're still seeing some winds upwards of 50 miles per hour. If I get here inside the loop, we're seeing 62 miles per hour as you get inside of that 640 loop, still getting inside parts of downtown Knoxville. We get into the parts of Jefferson County, getting towards Dandridge, Jefferson City, seeing some winds upwards into the 30s. But again, continuing to look at Greene County, we're getting those winds upwards of 70 miles per hour. We haven't seen any more rotation. I really think that time period for those tornadoes has passed, especially as we get further into parts of upper East Tennessee and we start to lose a lot more of that intensity. But honestly, let's reset just a little bit and kind of look at the rest of the area that we are seeing, getting a lot more of that clarity as we look towards the western half of our region. Even the cloud cover, that heavier cloud cover, starting to let up a little bit more. We're still seeing the edge of that thicker cloud cover as you work your way into parts of the northern to southern valley. So parts of Campbell County moving all the way down through the Central Valley, all the way down to McMinn County. Monroe County, you guys are still seeing a lot of those stronger storms. So if anything, I may actually work my way from bottom to top and talk a little bit more about some of these stronger storms that we're seeing by each county. If you're in parts of Monroe County, things are starting to clear up. Looks like areas like Telco Plains finally starting to lose some of that lighter rain that they were seeing. If we move our way further up, we get into Blount County. We're now seeing some parts of light to moderate rain, definitely on the weaker end. A lot of those storms dissipating as they cross over the mountains from Tennessee into North Carolina. So generally, I'm seeing if you're by Friendsville, if you're in Rockford, that rain should be slowing down for you soon, including in the Maryville, Alcoa area. If you're in Townsend, you're likely still seeing some more of those stronger rains and winds. We look into parts of Sevier County. We're still seeing that moderate rain in Sevierville, Pigeon Forge, and Gatlinburg, as well as further up as you get closer into Strawberry Plains. We're still seeing those flash flood warnings in areas like Jefferson City, Dandridge, so that's in much of Jefferson County. And then you get further into parts of upper East Tennessee. That's where we are still seeing a lot of those severe thunderstorm warnings, getting into Cog, Greene, Unicoi, and Washington County. That's going to be going for just about another 25 minutes as these storms continue to move their way over into these next couple of counties, but it looks like they'll be moving out of the way pretty quickly. If I turn this off right here, turn off some of those warnings, you can kind of see these storms just a little bit better. You can see they are weakening just a tad bit, taking a little bit more of that southerly direction as they continue to move out of the area. Draw a couple of arrows here to show you how these storms are generally moving towards the east southeast, continuing to move into the farthest parts of upper East Tennessee, further out into Washington County, maybe even parts of Sullivan County as well. You can see a couple of those stronger storms up in that direction as well, but generally weakening, crossing over into North Carolina and really leaving East Tennessee as a whole. Now, as we continue to get over these next couple of hours, we're going to continue to see this pattern. This is really the only line of storms like this that we're going to see. It's not like there's going to be a round two as we get later into these nighttime hours. So those of you that are seeing that clearing, you can breathe easy. You can kind of sit back, relax for a little bit, maybe take the opportunity to look around in your area, maybe if the conditions are safe. If you're still feeling a bit of that gusty wind, maybe hang inside for a little bit. If you're dealing with any kind of floodwaters in your neighborhood, remember, turn around, don't drown. Hopefully you have all the resources that you need. Maybe check on some of your neighbors if they're needing a little bit of help and during a time like this. But in upper East Tennessee, you guys are still in the thick of things. Looks like as you get to around Morristown and east, so about parts of Hamblin County, parts of Cott County, Greene County, Unicoi, Washington as well, getting closer to the Tri-Cities area, you guys are the ones that are still in the thick of things. I can zoom this out just a little bit further, kind of give you that larger path that we're seeing. So generally upwards of Rogersville, down past Morristown, you're getting into further Greenville, Greene County, even still about this southeastern corner of Cott County, you guys are still seeing a lot of those storms. Further up as you get towards Sullivan County, you've got a nice little bundle of storms as well as we continue to make our way further into the highest upper east parts of upper east Tennessee, continuing towards Mountain City. But I'll send it over to Todd for a little bit. I think he may have a couple more updates. He's been able to continue to check with the National Weather Service and check on damage reports while I've been here talking to you guys. Todd has a look in.
Yeah, okay, thank you. This is Old Cedar Bluff. Yeah, I know right where that is. Wow. That's the actual light pole coming that fell down. That's just south of CVS. You see the Advanced Auto Parts. So for perspective, that's Old Cedar Bluff. Now across the street on the other side is where the Brewster's ice cream place is. But this is the CVS. Again, that's a light pole blown down. Now, it may be a tree. I see a tree down as well. Maybe a tree hit the light pole. Don't know that for perspective. But just to give you an example of the type of wind, if you have a light pole going down, think about a tree that's leafed out. Of course, we're in the summer season. Everything's leafed out. Well, the trees act like a cell, right? The leaves catch all that wind, right? Because they're leafed out, and it basically it's like a cell, and it catches all that wind. And trees can be easily pushed over because they're leafed out and they have all the vegetation, the leaves on them. Well, a light pole or something skinny and thin like that doesn't have all that. So if you get light poles blown down, everything, that's pretty intense wind, right? So that gives us a good idea. Matter of fact, but you can look at the type of damage that occurred, and that's how the National Weather Service in Morristown estimates the winds. When they go out and do storm surveys, they look at the materials, the building materials, the objects that were damaged, and when you see those type of objects that were damaged, the type of damage that occurred to those, you get a good idea of the type of winds that just blew through that area. So that's what we're looking at. I'm trying to look real close, and I don't know if y'all put me on camera. I'll just point it out. Looks like it was boarded up a little bit. I don't know if that has been like that before today or as a result of storm damage. So again, some high winds at that CVS. It would look like it was part of boarded up. Could have been some windows blown out from the high winds. Certainly possible. All right. Good afternoon. How are you doing? I hope you have a good, safe day. We're going to take you right up to our, just before the 4 o'clock hour. We're going to keep you updated with these storms. We've got the latest news, weather of the day, everything coming up on 10 About Town at 4 p.m. and more specifically about 3:58. So again, that will be forthcoming. Right now, Rebecca Sweet, Kaylee Bowers are hard at work getting lots of reports. Again, we're going to get an updated look on power outages for Knox County. At last check, there were 56,000. Okay, I'm just looking at more. Kaylee's just sending me a picture. Again, bear with me. And Annie, I'm going to have Kaylee, if you can get this. This is an awning. This is a Weigels. An awning pretty much toward it. It's okay. And again, that's just what we're going to do right now. That's an awning at Weigels. And I have to get the location. Kaylee's just read that too. Cedar Bluff. Thank you, Annie. We'll get that. Thank you. The Weigels at Cedar Bluff. So Cedar Bluff area took a hit because that other picture at Old Cedar Bluff Road, the CVS and Advanced Auto Parts, was also off Middlebrook at Cedar Bluff. So this is the Weigels at Cedar Bluff. Significant damage to the awning or part of it in the overhang. I'm just looking at that. Rebecca Sweet saying lots of damage on Westland. Big trees down on Westland. So heads up that Westland. It has lots of damage, trees down. Again, significant storm damage and power outages being reported now in Knoxville as these storms have moved through. If you're watching, seeing Greene County, significant storms. And let's take a look, an updated look at KUB outages. Still 56,000. Thank you, Annie Carr, in our booth and the control room. Thank you, Annie, for all these updates and the power outages. Brittany Bailey's been keeping us up to date on all these throughout the afternoon as well. We're still holding at 56,000. And again, that's just the last report. As Annie told me a moment ago, impressively, that's 25% of KUB customers without power. Now, the opposite, 75% do have it, but still, 25%, that's impressive. 56,000 still at last check without power. If you're able to watch us somehow and you don't have power, hopefully that gets restored soon. Some good news. Let's talk, and Tavian, if you're right there, I want to show this, and then I want to go right to a Futurecast. So we're going to move forward. We know what's happened because we still have these strong storms. We're still looking at very heavy rain and some high winds possible from Raytown and Greene County southward. We're still looking at residual heavy rain, Sneeville, Mooresburg, Whitesburg for you, pushing from Hancock into Hawkins County, down into Hamblin County, Russellville, and also Bulls Gap, and back into Greene County. So that's the current depiction of storms. The good news, the most significant storms have basically moved out of our reach and are moving out of the region. It's still an ongoing process in Greene County, not quite there yet. But most of the significant storms have moved out and we'll continue to see improving conditions. We have new video coming in of level crossings in West Knox County. So there you got roof damage. This is level crossings in West Knox County. And this video, the roof is gone. Andy, thank you, Andy. Because I was still studying that. I was looking at nearby folks walking around. Yeah, we'll let this kind of reset. But as Andy said, level crossings, there's some homes there, apartments, what have you. Yeah, this is just new video. That roof on the top right-hand side was gone. We'll play it again, coming up right up. While we're waiting on that, here's our Futurecast line. Go ahead and let it play forward. This was, and we'll go back to video, that's fine. We're all good. That roof, right there. See that? That's heavily damaged. So there's damage from the roof. Again, these intense winds. And what it does, it gets up under the awnings or the coverings, if you will, and the trusses, and it lifts it up, and that's where you can have some of that roof damage. We're all looking at this together. Just new video coming in. Level crossings in West Knox County, roof damage. Some of that's significant, it looks like. And then, now here's the bad thing. Winds take part of the roof off, and then heavy rains. You can have maybe some water damage as well. Yeah, and Rebecca just said, wow, to what we just saw. We're all watching this together. Exactly, Becca. Here's our Futurecast timeline again. This was 3 p.m. And see, this is a model forecast, so that's 26 minutes ago. You did a good job. And if you don't mind, Tavian, for my own purposes, I was looking away. Can you replay that for myself and all others? We'll look at it together. Here's what we're looking at. 3 p.m. So that was old, but it did a good job. That's where the storms were. And now, see that 4 p.m.? It's actually, that's pretty good. That matches up with radar really good, actually. Greenville to Bryson City. Now, what high-res models do, they update every several hours. They reinitialize. So it's updating according to what's happening, too. So it's doing pretty good. Greenville to Bryson City, that's where the storms are at 4 p.m. Okay, sorry, Tavian, thank you. Go ahead and play it all out. We'll look at all this together. And again, we've been in a nowcasting mode, so we're literally looking at all this together. Now, I know it does show a few more chances for some spotty to scattered storms. These are probably going to be more your ordinary variety. They are on the tail end. Not saying they couldn't be strong. A little bit more of tail end energy that's going to rotate through. And I say tail because it's an upper level trough, and the trough axis is swinging through. The heart of the trough axis is swinging through now. And that brought us the most intense storms. Now, on the back side of the axis, that's what we're looking at. See, it's kind of bowing back like this. That's what we're seeing right here. So that's just going to kind of, like a tail, just kind of whip through. So may have some residual spotty strong storms. And this is just what our high-res models showing, 7 p.m. from Huntsville, La Follette, Maynardville, Morristown, Greenville. Doesn't mean it'd be exactly there. It's a computer model, right? Not perfect. And so that's what we're looking at. We'll keep you updated on that. But most of the significant storms are moving out. We'll keep you updated on that. We now have video or pictures of the Weigels at Cedar Bluff. That's the picture I was showing to you on my phone. Thank you. Yeah, that's what made me go wow. Sean Nelson, thank you for safely sending us that photo and sharing it with us. Sean Nelson in West Knox County. That's the Weigels at Cedar Bluff. Yeah, that'll need to be replaced. That's a significant damage to the overhang, the awning there above the gas pumps. And hopefully, you see, they've already got it taped off. I hope everybody is obviously safe, and hopefully no injuries from that or anything. Hopefully, here's the situation. If you're at a place like that, let's just kind of role play it, right? If you're getting gas and got severe storms coming in, and you look up, oh my gosh, here comes a big storm. Well, go inside the building. Leave the car, cut the gas off. Leave the car, go inside the building, take cover in a sturdy building and structure. You do whatever you have to stay safe, right? So if you're in that type of situation, this is Western Avenue, Interstate 40. We got crews getting a tree that fell across the road earlier. We saw that earlier. Looks like they're continuing to do work on that right there. They're picking it up, and similar to what they do, come around your neighborhoods, not with this type of equipment. That'd be impressive. But anyway, they're getting the tree off the road at the Interstate 40 at Western Avenue so traffic can move it along. But that's a live view. We're watching that together as a tree fell across the part of the interstate, looks like the right-hand lane, and maybe the shoulder there, and as folks getting off. But they're cleaning that up. That's Interstate 40, Western Avenue. Yeah, they're cleaning that up as we speak, and that's improving. Some folks stopped at the bridge looking at that. We have some traffic lights out that, in addition to the power outages, we have traffic lights out in West Knoxville at Kingston Pike. So West Knoxville, Seven Oaks Drive and Winston Road. Seven Oaks Drive and Winston Road, Kingston Pike in West Knoxville. Again, Seven Oaks Drive, Winston Road, Kingston Pike, West Knoxville. The traffic light is out. Traffic lights are out along parts of Kingston Pike. And so, again, just if you're just joining us or you've been busy this afternoon, maybe you've been hunkered down and take cover from the storms or been busy coming and going and are just now watching us, we have, the last check, 56,000 customers without power in Knox County. 25% of KUB customers without power at last check. Now, hopefully the number, obviously hopefully doesn't go up anymore. It could, but hopefully will start going down. As you see what we're seeing now, the most significant storms have moved through. You know, a lot of times when storms come through, you got to wait for the lightning and the high winds to diminish before a crews can safely get out there. We don't want them out there with the high winds or lightning occurring, but now that the high winds and lightning have moved out, now the crews are getting out there. They're going to work hard, restoring the power, getting things back restored for customers who are without power. So thank you for the patience, your patience with them. So they're going to do the best job they can. Back to what we're seeing again, this is where we picked up as a moment ago, maybe a few spotty strong storms on the tail end of energy that's going to rotate through this evening. And I don't know if this goes out any further, we can let it play on out. Some good news. Now again, we're going to have to switch gears, switch hats in a moment. We're going to go from nowcasting severe weather today to forecasting our weather tomorrow. But unless things have changed dramatically, at last check, dew points can be dropping for your Tuesday, first day back to school for Knox County, and the weather looks great tomorrow and Wednesday. Then we've got more rainstorms on Thursday, so we're going to be talking more about that in a moment. Yeah, hey, we'll take it. Try to get the dew points down to tolerable level. And again, we'll talk more about this before the dew points humidity rises again. But it looks like after today's storms, we will get a break the next couple of days, so we can clean up, get things restored, etc. And it doesn't look, as last check, doesn't look as significant coming our way, but more showers and storms are anticipated for Thursday. We're in that pattern, by the way. I think the weekend looks like it may be improving again. We'll see. And again, we'll kind of talk more about that as we go on time. But thank you, Tavian. That's a look, just kind of a brief look ahead, because we're going to be transitioning as storms move out to looking ahead. But good news, our Tuesday looks much better, with drier air, some lower humidity, some sunshine, and a much more calmer weather day tomorrow. Most of our Wednesday looks good as well, partly cloudy skies. It looks like it's going to be later Wednesday night into Thursday, right in here at last check. And again, we're going to switch gears and do some more forecasting as we go in time and check the very latest for you. But that's what we're looking at as far as that goes. So thank you for Tavian for that. And speaking of Tavian, I'm going to send it over to you, my friend, for the latest on more power outages.
Well, thank you very much. Things are getting pretty active through much of the area. Of course, we've seen a lot of trees down and power lines down, and trees bringing power lines down. And so we're seeing a lot of power outages through much of the area. A lot of that coming from the aggressive wind damage that we've been seeing throughout the rest of the region. So, you guys can pull that up whenever we need to. There we go. Cumberland County, over 7,000 people out of power. Morgan County, we got a little under 1,000. We're seeing them in the green. So they're doing fairly well compared to some of the other places. We're seeing a lot of that orange and red, though. 1,100 people in Roane County out of power. Looks like a good amount in Loudoun as well. Further down into Meigs County, 3,000 people without power. They saw some especially gusty winds as you worked your way into that area. Loudoun County, a little over 1,300 people without power. Those are quite a lot of homes through much of the area. Monroe County, 863. Blount County, sheesh, almost 9,000 people out of power. And Blount County definitely got slammed with a lot of those storms, especially as they were making their way over into the foothills. Still seeing a good bit of those gusty winds as well. Severe County just one-upped them, over 14,000 people without power. So again, a lot of those stronger storms still moving through the area. Knox County, 54,000, definitely taking the cake. We've had at least 2 to 3 severe thunderstorm warnings coming through our area. Trees down, power lines down, trees bringing power lines down. I remember in Alcoa, Maryville, there was the lightning strike that brought down the power over there. So that is part of the reason, again, that we're seeing so many power outages coming for a variety of reasons. And we take a look at Hamlin County, kind of see how they're doing as well. Jefferson County, Hamlin County doing surprisingly well, 85 people, so fairly well compared to a lot of other people. I saw Jefferson County had a good number out as well. I think I saw a couple of thousand, maybe a couple of hundred people in that area. So definitely a lot of our central regions, 1,200 people in Granger County, and a little bit further into the south, Jefferson County, seeing a good 1,000 or so people without power as well. So definitely everyone just wait it out. Patience is going to be the best thing when we come to these outages. We got to wait to clear out the trees, maybe bring those power lines back up. But Todd, I'll send it back over to you because a lot of people may be waiting a while for some of that power to come back. Hopefully you got your phones and devices charged, got your food nearby. Remember, you don't got to open the fridge too much, got to save a lot of that colder air. But Todd, what are you seeing on the radar right now?
That's excellent advice, and thank you very much, Taven. Yeah, have patience. Again, crews are going to be hard at work. There's a lot of people without power, but hopefully, you know, just as quickly as it went out with that line of storms, hopefully it may not be quite as quick come back on. It'll take a while, right? Because significant damage and winds can just like that take our power out, but hopefully that comes on back on soon for you. Again, you look at that number. Wow, over 50,000 without power, and it looks like Knox and Jefferson County, some of the hard-hit areas. Well, we have flood advisories and flash flood warnings. The flash flood warnings for Jefferson and also portions of Hamlin counties, and it will continue until 4:30 in Greene County, including parts of Knox County and Hamlin, until 5:30. So we've got the residual heavy rain and high water issues. The good news, significant storms are moving out of East Tennessee as we speak. The unfortunate part, in the wake of these significant storms, we have high water and possible flooding still left over, and we have all the power outages and the cleanup. So again, we're going to bring you coverage for continue about 20 more minutes. That's going to take us up to just before the top of the hour. Again, as more information, new information could continue to come in. Unfortunately, we saw some of the damage at Cedar Bluff. And just with that, we have this is live video of Dandridge and trees down on a power line, it looks like right there. You got an emergency vehicle helping the traffic get around, but see what's happening? That tree is falling down across the power line, so it's down on the ground, at least, draped down on the ground significantly there. So again, that's what we're looking at. That's a live view in Dandridge, a tree down on power lines. And unfortunately, this is probably a common thing of what we're seeing. Rebecca Sweet reported large trees reported down on Westland, and big trees down. We had a report at 7 Oaks Drive, Winston Road at Kingston Pike, where the traffic lights were out. And so again, what we're seeing here is probably a familiar sight across much of East Tennessee, unfortunately, as these storms packed a punch as they swept through. Now, the good news, they have moved out. And again, you're looking live at some of that's live video from Dandridge as the storm damage seen there. Heavy rain and thunderstorms continues from Rogersville up toward Kingsport, making their way up toward Bristol into the Tri-Cities area. And again, as far as our Channel 10 viewing area, Greene County, and again, that's where we are seeing those strong to even in some cases severe storms. Actually, Taven, let's bring it up. Are the warnings on? Yeah, warnings still on. Thank you. So I didn't know if we are in the clear on those yet. You had them up a moment ago. Thank you for putting them back up. Apologies, but yeah, that's the warning till 3:45, coming up about 7 minutes from right now for Greene County. So that's still a severe thunderstorm warning we have until 3:45. Other warnings until 4:15 for the southern part of that line, and another one until 3:45. So again, we're almost there as the leading edge of storms continues to make its way into upper East Tennessee now, Johnson City and Gray up toward Kingsport, the Tri-Cities. But in the wake of these storms, still looking at some high water and flooding issues. So do not be in a rush to get out and drive. And a lot of times people, let's drive around and see the damage. Now's not the time. Flooding and down power lines. So I would stay and let crews do their work to restore power, and so as things slowly improve, maybe that's the time to do that. But again, right now and in the wake of storms as they move through, don't be in a hurry to get out and see that, because you want to keep yourself safe. And certainly call, check, text, loved ones and friends. You okay? How are you doing? Etc. And hopefully you're able to do that safely. So again, just a humble reminder to not get out there too quickly. All right, we have some new weather damage and video. It keeps coming in. For that, I'll send it over to you, Tavian.
Well, thank you very much, Todd. We're looking at some new damage on North Campbell Station Road. That is going to be, I believe, here in Knox County, we have multiple trees down along that road. That can be one of the tougher parts about being here in East Tennessee. We are living a very beautiful forested area, but when it comes to a lot of these smaller 2-lane roads, we get a lot of trees down that surround that general area, can block it in multiple directions. So again, it's going to take a lot of time for them to kind of go around all these different regions and really continue to check and survey the area, not just here in Knox County, but throughout all of East Tennessee, because we all had a little bit of that severe wind damage. You see entire trees that look like they just cracked in half. You can see the wood on the inside of those, but we're going to take a look at the Weigels next. Again, intense damage in the Cedar Bluff area. You can see it looks like there may be a couple of cars on the farthest side that may be okay, but you see this side right here, that entire pole right here on the end is just completely ripped up. You can see the roof on the top side of it almost torn off as well. Luckily, no cars under it, but even that little sidling that would usually have the Weigel sign on it is completely fallen to the ground and just hanging off of the corner right there. Luckily, it looks like the actual Weigel's store, the building itself seems to be okay, but the canopy that sits over the gas stations, that is the part that is in danger. Complete pieces falling off of the entire top of it. We're looking again at in Old Cedar Bluff in Middlebrook, again, a lot more of that tree damage as you get into this neighborhood that you're seeing right here, blocking the entire entrance to the neighborhood. We got a couple people walking around. Now at that time, it was a little bit dangerous. Whoa, hold on. If you look all the way back there as we get to that road, right down the middle, you can see that entire tree just down. I can't tell if that's a limb or part of the full tree itself, but you can kind of see that little bit of brown piece over there as the entire tree is falling off. So if you have some trees down like that in your area, definitely please send those over to us. If you're in a safe place, definitely make sure you get to that. You're gonna another look at the radar, because we are seeing some more of these storms as we get into these next couple of minutes. Most of them ending at about 3:45, but there are some that are right on the upper tip of upper East Tennessee, maybe a little bit out of our area, that are going until about 4:15. Todd, I'm going to send it back over to you to give those another look. Oh, well, no, I lied. I'm going to keep talking for a little bit longer. We are going to see more of those storms as we continue into these next couple of minutes, but generally conditions are calming down for a lot of the area. Now, we are still seeing a lot of these warnings as you get further down towards the Chattanooga area, but again, many of these storms are calming down as they work their way in. A lot of these going to be sitting more so in North Carolina than in East Tennessee. We're luckily seeing much calmer conditions as you work your way into our area. I'll kind of zoom in here just into our region specifically. Most of us seeing some clear conditions. If you're in the plateau, if you're in generally the northern, central, and southern valley, we're seeing a lot more of that clarity. Monroe County, you guys are finally seeing that as well. Same in Blount and Severe. You guys are finally starting to open up. It's really just this tip of upper East Tennessee as you get from about Cott County and beyond into Greene County as well. That's seeing a lot more of that action. Todd, I'm going to send it over to you now to talk a little bit more about it.
Okay, Tavian Whitehurst, thank you so much. Great job, Tavian. And as Tavian just said, yeah, we are seeing these main storms continue to move through. Couple of quick updates. Well, a couple updates. Getting reports, Kaylee Bowers, thank you for this info. Reportedly 12,000 customers without power. LCUB, again, over 50,000 still KUB, but 12,000 customers without power, LCUB customers. So that's a report coming in. We'll get that for you coming up. Also, Corey Presley, news director, let's see, is forwarding me some information. Let's see, we got a large tree that fell down. I'm trying to get the location here. And let's see, I got North Knox County, downtown Merchants Drive. Between that area of a large tree down, some intense winds. Again, just seeing some of this coming across my feed and being relayed to me as a very large tree down. It looks like that has done maybe some roof damage. And well, I'm sorry, I'm just looking at the video. So we'll try to get that and show you that as well. But again, we are looking at 12,000 LCUB customers reportedly without power. So again, in the wake of these storms, as they went through the Knoxville and Central Valley area and much of East Tennessee, there it is right there. Thank you so much. Thank you. And yeah, I'll try to. And thank you, Corey, for passing along. Just caught my neighbor's 100-year-old oak fall. Hurricane force winds here today was the report. Okay, let's all watch this together. Is this, so there's the big oak, and I think that's the house or the apartment complex that I see the tree on. I don't know if we see the tree fall, but there's on the right, so there's the tree. So, oh boy, unfortunately that kind of, again, reportedly approximately a 100-year-old oak tree falling across this house, or at least apartment complex, and again, location between downtown and Merchants Drive. And let's see, I'll try to, John Humond, thank you, John, and for that report, sharing that with us, thank you so much. And again, this was John's neighbor's approximately 100-year-old oak tree, and part of that tree, I don't know if it's the whole tree or part of the tree, gosh, look at that. Again, the wind, the trees just act like cells, catching and harnessing all that wind. And when you have winds 60, 70, 80 miles per hour like we had today, and even our Doppler radar was estimating winds upwards of 90 miles per hour plus, 90 mile per hour winds plus aloft, that can certainly happen, especially when you're in the spring and summer season when the vegetation trees are leafed out. They can act